God damn it. All right, well, I'm glad that you're here, Dagger. You're right on time. Let me check that your audio is on. God. I'm a professional, guys. I'm fine. I'm fine. You're fine. We're all fine. Dagger, your mic's not on. Oh, there. Now your mic should be on.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you for shit. So God. I didn't even know I was on stream until I actually went and looked at Twitch and YouTube.
Damn it. All right. Well, the good news is, guys, welcome. First of all, I am Tassenix, and welcome to this impromptu interseason episode of Raid/TB/Conquest and Chill. I am joined by Dagger, one of my co-hosts from Plotting and Scheming, the podcast. Dagger has an echo. I know why he has an echo. Thank you for telling me up front. You saved us a lot of grief. No, that's completely my fault. All right, so the camera frames are what they are. Everything is what it is. I'm glad we all agree that everything is beautiful just the way it is, and we wouldn't change it.
Are you live on YouTube?
I believe so, yeah, as well, yeah. Yeah, I think I saw somebody from YouTube chat already. So, anyways, guys.
Oh, you are? Okay, I didn't get notification.
I think I saw somebody from YouTube chat already. So, anyways, guys.
Oh, you are? Okay, yeah.
Oh, you must have just opened me up on a browser or something. I just heard us.
Yeah. I opened up YouTube and it was not on mute when I opened it up. Also, I don't know if you saw earlier. I did a fun story to start off the stream. I walked into the bedroom and looked at my partner and I was like, "Take it off." She's like, "How much?" I'm like, "Just the hoodie." Mm-hmm. So I'm wearing the Tassenix hoodie.
Show that off. Yeah, that's OG merchandise. That's not available anymore. That was the 1.0 version of the Tassenix gaming logo, and that was back when I had merchandise fulfilled directly by Patreon. And yeah, man, in the life of that program, before they discontinued it, I think there are only 2 of those hoodies ever shipped out. The one that Dagger has, and the one that I have.
I don't mean to make anyone feel any more jealous, but my partner always steals this hoodie because it is very light, but it is also very warm and very breathable. That being said, it is a solid 72 in this house right now in the winter in Minnesota, so I don't know how long I'm going to keep this on.
You don't have to do it for me. I mean, wear it because it's comfortable.
I don't know how bad they want to see my titties, so
we'll see also fair. Also fair. You know what? Hey, Big Ninja in the chat says jelly roll?
Yes. I am a multi-millionaire singer.
That's right. That's the technique.
God, I wish.
Mateus says, damn, where do I get one? Well, the 1.0 version is no longer available. That's some straight up FOMO, my friend.
Oh,
that's gone.
Did Tass tell you to put mission into crit damage mods with defense secondaries? Because if he didn't, he's wrong.
I went with crit damage mods and just crit chance. Because I just wanted
she's
to
a
hand
physical
off.
Attacker who gets ferocity. Don't put crit chance on her.
But why
put defense on her? The ferocy's gonna reduce her damage. Reduce her armor.
Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay. First things first. Mateus asked where you can get a hoodie, and I said that the 1.0 version cannot be done. However, if you're on my Discord, which I'm going to unceremoniously, drop the link for right now, then you already saw my announcement earlier for merch. I just launched a new store, so hopefully that works. And you guys get the link for that.
It did take me to the link, yes.
Yes, but I just launched that today. So that is the new store. I have not had merch available for years, since Patreon's discontinuation of certain merch items. And now, because of you guys' support, I actually did hit YouTube Partner last year, which enabled me to have the opportunity to use one of their affiliates to offer merch. So that is fulfilled through that. So thank you guys. But that's there. So as far as what you're saying, Dagger, let's get back to mission. if we're talking 5 versus 5, I'm still thinking that this Zalbar Omicron is a non-entity. And I guess as a first point, everybody's wanting to talk about this, so we might as well just get this out of the way up front. People are going to want to talk about this on Plotting and Scheming, and we can hash this out with the rest of the crew there, as usual. But let's talk about this. While in Grand Arenas, in general, Zalbar gains Retribution and taunts for 1 turn at the start of battle, at the start of his turn, and whenever he loses Retribution or Taunt. Whenever he attacks out of turn, inflict a stack of damage over time for 2 turns on all enemies, which can't be evaded or resisted. Enemies can't gain defense up or stealth. All right. That sounds pretty good. I got to take a sip of water. Hold on.
Oh, I didn't know you were on a podcast, Mateus. That's awesome. You should post the link in the YouTube chat here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's the one I guessed it on a couple weeks back.
You told me about it, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together that this was one of the guys from it.
Yeah.
Until you just said it.
Yeah. Mateus is one of the regular co-hosts on this show. They're a pretty casual, bunch, but they've got interest in the game. They've got passion about it. Water on a Friday night. Guys, I'm starting this stream. Here. This is, I won't show you the bottle label, but trust me when I say this was a full bottle of wine. That is no longer a full bottle of wine, all right? Dig that. And let me, now I know what you're thinking. Oh, Tass, how much did your wife drink? Fun fact, Mrs. T does not drink red wine. So,
the fact that you drink red wine is more of an indictment than the fact that your wife does not.
Listen, I can appreciate that you're uncultured, and that is your burden to bear. I'm just going to enjoy the wine.
If I wanted Mike's Hard Lemonade, I would just go get Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Who's talking about lemonade? I'm talking about wine.
I'm just saying that's basically what red wine is.
I cannot imagine why you would make that comparison. It's so farcical as, I can't be offended because it's so laughably farcical.
They have roughly the same alcohol content, and they both make my kidneys hurt the next day.
You know what? Big Ninja won't show us the bottle because he's ashamed it's 5%. You know what? I just,
he's not getting paid to plug it, so he's not going to
plug it.
It
says alcohol 13.5% by volume. You don't have to take my word for it. It says it right. Let's see if I can get that up on the screen. There it is. Alcohol 13.5% by volume, which I think you would agree is pretty, I don't know, par for the course for wine.
Yeah. It's anywhere between 12 to 14 is any generic, alcoholic beverage that's not a beer.
Yeah.
Or
right.
a hard liquor.
Yeah, I think that's definitely got more going on than a Mike's.
I will not show it on the chat because it has my last name on it, but I did finally put something in the decanter I got for Christmas, the one I showed you, Tass.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. If you want to hold up that decanter, you can show it to the people. You can do it.
I cannot. It has my last name on it.
Can you show the back of it? Damn.
No, because it's clear.
Well, yeah, that is a huge fault with it, yeah. All right, fair enough. But yeah, Captain Mateus, I'll be happy to give the plug here. Yeah, the Huts Hangout podcast goes live 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturdays, every Saturday. It's a mostly Australian cast. A fun watch. If you're up, it's a great watch with a cup of coffee, I gotta say.
You put it on Spotify or YouTube or anything? Because I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not going to be awake at 7 a.m. on a Saturday.
Mateus, you can say where folks can find the recorded version, but yeah. Can you cover your name with your thumb or something?
Oh, no. Look, I'm going to be honest with you, the amount of effort it would take is not worth it, but one of these times I'll put some masking tape over it next time I go on live, and I'll show it off.
What does he mean? I don't even understand what he means.
Over my last name on the decanter.
Oh, yeah. Okay, we're back
I'm saying that my name is this big on the decanter, so I'll just put some electric tape on it or something at some point to show it off. Because it's really nice. I got it from one of my friends for Christmas. Came with 4 Scotch glasses. I really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Big Ninja,
I actually got
the
Elijah Craig you suggested.
Yeah. I enjoy bourbon. I got to tell you though. As a standalone drink, I'm much more partial to rye these days. I gotta come clean with that.
I don't mind an old fashioned, but I'm not a big rye guy.
Well, old fashions typically do not use rye. That's my preference to use rye.
That's the only time I've ever had rye was in an old fashioned.
Fair. It's actually quite delicious. Neat to me. Because the thing about bourbon's just delicious, but my palate favors less than more sugar. And rye gives a different and less sweet sugar. Different and less sweet flavor. And I'm into it. All right.
Yeah,
okay. We got some other
raised.
we got some other folks enjoying a drink here tonight. We got Von Rad enjoying a Manhattan. JJ
I don't think I've ever
Binks.
had a Manhattan. What's in a Manhattan? Somebody tell me. I don't know. I've never had one.
It's been years since I had one. I can just simply say it wasn't for me. But there's a whole lot of things that aren't for me, and I support them being there. So good for him.
Oh yeah, yeah, Mateus. I was a Jack and Coke guy for the majority of my life. Until one of my friends, a couple Christmases ago, I told Tass about this, got me a McKellen 21. And that kind of put me on the Scotch route for about a year. But I can afford Elijah Craig. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah. Elijah Craig,
not...
like, at least here in the Midwest, like, I can find that at any grocery store or liquor store. And it's definitely not the best drink you've ever had, but it's not harsh. Reasonable.
Johnny Walker is what I drank a lot through my 20s, getting the nicer stuff when I could afford it. But yeah, Jack and Coke has been the default for a very long time, and I'm really trying to break that habit because there are better things out there than Jack, despite the fact that, like, I was a Marlboro Red smoking, Jack Daniels drinking, gun-toting. I don't mean to bring that part up. I'm just saying, like, I was the stereotype for my entire 20s.
Fantastic. All right, big deal with the Michelob Ultra. Okay, Von Brad defined the Manhattan: rye, vermouth, and bitters. I actually like all three of those things, but my memory of drinking a Manhattan when last I had one is of you know the face when you take that first sip and you go, and it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna be ordering a second one. That's kind of where I'm at with that. But, okay, Jack and Coke. See, the thing is, I just blew myself out on Jack and Cokes in my early to mid-20s. Every house party was Jack and Coke. Everybody was Jack and Coke.
For me, it was Captain Morgan. I went sailing every weekend all through high school.
Jesus, that too, man. When I was a freshman at university... can I tell you a story, Dagger? Let me tell you something I know I haven't told you before. Shout out to my friend Mike P. He knows who he is. He's probably not watching, but he knows who he is. He's also known as Pidge. But back when I was a freshman at University of Florida, he and I got drunk playing Splinter Cell... Pandora Tomorrow, just sitting there in the dorm room until just the dead ass middle of the night, 3-4 something a.m. And what are we drinking? It's not no Captain Morgan. We don't have budget like that. What are you talking about? We're taking it back to the Admiral Nelson days. What do you know, Dagger, about Admiral Nelson?
We were not that poor even in high school and college.
Ah, man, it was desperate times. It is the natty light of spice rums.
I know what you're talking about, but that shit was like $8 for a liter, and even we got like the $14 one.
It was bad.
That's
so
like
let me tell you something.
Phillips and Kharkov. Remember Phillips and Kharkov?
The Admiral isn't bad, says Big Deal. My man. Let me tell you something. He and I worked that handle.
Oh yeah, when you were 17, yes.
We worked. Shut the fuck up, Big Deal. When you're 17, he says, "Listen, I was 18 and it was in budget, okay? Like the bottom line is that after we had between the two of us polished off a whole handle, uh, you do
That's a
as
1.75 liter for those who are not big alcohol drinkers.
yeah. So after the two of us handled a sizable amount of liquor, we decided, after we finished playing Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow, which was all the rage on Xbox at the time. I don't even think it was Xbox 2 or whatever it was in the day. We decided to go outside and actually like try to Sam Fisher scale the side of buildings, like crawl up the side of buildings. And I went up a little bit, all right, but I have an issue with heights. My friend actually, went up a couple stories before, climbing back down, completely cool as a cucumber. But and then we decided to just walk the entire town till past dawn, hit up the student dining facility when it opened, like at the ass crack of dawn, and just like mashed on eggs and all of it. And then went and crashed. It was a fantastic way to kick off what I believe was a Sunday going into a Monday. So, party hardy. It was a good time.
And I remember the dirty 30s. That's more of what my friends were the dirty 30s in high school. And if you don't know what that is the 30 packs that were busy being like $8 or $9. So like 211 Red Dog Special Export Natty Ice.
Mateus is referencing the forbidden fruit. Like I never stooped to this stuff. These Fleischmann's vodka, $10 for 2 gallons.
No,
man.
I remember seeing those when I was 18 and not buying them because I could show you pictures of me when I was 18 and I had not as big a beard as I do now, but I've shown Tass. I didn't get carded at like 17, 18 for alcohol, and even I, being 17, wasn't buying that shit.
I wanted to party, but I just didn't need to drink like that. That's where I'm at. Big Ninja says the Admiral could start an engine, man. It really was jet fuel, and it was sugary jet fuel at that, man. Like if you didn't, if you didn't level out with some water before you ended up crashing, man, woe unto you the next day. That was some real rock gut the next day. Yeah, Mad Dog, all that stuff, man. I've already talked on previous streams about, the old days with the Edward 40 hands and whatnot.
Oh,
but that's going on back. That's going on back.
I still have no hair on the back of my hands from the tape we used for Edward 40 hands.
This is the way. This is the way. I respect that. That's commitment. All right, so listen, we already read off this first part of the Grand Arena Omicron on Zalbar. For 5 vs. 5, and we'll see what you think of this when I finish reading it, Dagger, but while in 5 vs. 5 Grand Arenas, if all allies are light side Old Republic and the leader is not a Jedi, allies are immune to daze and expose. At the start of each turn, allies gain 20% defense and tenacity for each enemy debuff until the end of the turn. Whenever another ally taunts, they dispel it, take a bonus turn, and gain 400% offense stacking until the end of the encounter or the start of a Galactic Legends turn. Whenever an enemy gains bonus turn meter, they are inflicted with a stack of damage over time for 2 turns, which can't be evaded or resisted. If Jolie Bindo is an ally, that looks pretty bad, revives all defeated allies, regardless of faction. These bonuses persist if Zalbar is defeated. So, it sounds like a lot, but you're thinking about who this is buffing up, and
I was about to say, like, I'm really glad this is a turd polisher, but I don't know if this turd is polishable to the point where it's going to be usable on a board of 22 teams and 9 of them are GLs, and another 12 of them are Triple Omi. I don't know if it's... I don't remember how many are actually GAC. We'll just round up to 18 of the teams, round to... There are 9 Triple Omi teams for GAC and 9 GLs. Is this one of the 4 best non-GL, non-triple Omi teams?
Maybe somebody
I'm gonna
has
guess
an
no.
inventive offensive punch-up use.
Yeah.
But as a defensive team in 5 versus 5, I think we're unified. Like, this is not... This doesn't seem like it has a place when we're already concentrating... Like, for 2 or 3 teams on your board, these are going to be teams that are concentrations of 2 or 3 other teams in themselves. So, yeah. Yeah. All right. Excuse me. While in 3 versus 3 grand arenas, if Darth Revan and Mission Vow are allies and there is no enemy galactic legend, Zalbar and Mission gain the Sith Empire tag until the end of battle. Mission gains a bonus turn at the start of battle. Until the start of that turn, she can't be targeted by enemies. At the start of that turn, she is instantly defeated and grants her critical chance, critical damage, offense, and speed to Zalbar and Darth Revan in addition to their own until the end of battle. These effects persist through defeat. Zalbar and Darth Revan gain guard until Zalbar is defeated. Once per turn, Darth Revan assists whenever Zalbar uses an ability. So this is nuts, and it basically screams to me backwall defense, at least while it's new, and then it might be just a default stalwart topside defense in 3 versus 3, the same way that you might do with Tuskens, you know?
Yeah.
But this is nuts, dude. Now that we've discussed this specifically, I know you were talking about missions modding, and I thought, just reading about what's getting handed off here, as far as set types, crit chance and crit damage intuitively seem best, because that's what's getting handed off. But why did you say defense?
Just for, like, non-this team applications.
Oh,
like,
never mind.
She doesn't benefit from it. She doesn't benefit from any small set. Like, both Zalbar and Darth Revan, the moment they get any ferocity, are going to have, like, plus 75% crit chance, plus they're going to be, like, crit capped at, like, 125 to 150 crit chance with, like, no real effort. Especially when Mission dies and her base is, like, 120. So they're going to be north of, like, 200% crit chance. So I wouldn't even, like, give a shit about that. I would focus on the crit damage, offense, and speed. The crit chance there is mostly just a, haha, now they extra crit.
Now, what do you think about the sets for Zalbar himself? Because I understand that Ferocity is negative stacking defense. But
Tenacity.
And Tenacity, but Tenacity isn't so important when you A, have guard, and B, when you're having the Sith Empire tag, you are a beneficiary of Darth Revan's unique.
That's only CBM.
No. Let me.
You're referring specifically to being just ability block, being locked, being knocked out.
And stun. I want to say.
Well, guard already makes them
at the
stun.
At the start of each Sith Empire dispel blah blah blah. Whenever Sith Empire is afflicted with ability block or stun, yeah, but it would still proc that, like the act of attempting
it doesn't
stun.
proc on the stun because they cannot. So they cannot be stunned. So that won't proc because guard means you cannot be stunned.
Okay, so it would require that they are inflicted with it. Okay, so they won't get the ferocity stacking. Okay, fine. Fair enough. So it's just the ability block that we're being immunized from by Conqueror. But
and it's not even immune because there's locked ability block that sticks on them. They only dispel it.
Okay. Wait a minute. But if you're immune, you're immune.
Correct, but Darth Revan doesn't say they're immune to ability block. He says they dispel it.
They dispel it. That's true.
That's the same thing with the stun. It says they dispel the stun.
As opposed to guard
says that they cannot be stunned.
Yeah, as opposed to guard, which immunizes you. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
yeah.
Okay. Well, all right.
I'm pretty sure you're just doing like full prot stack plus defense stack.
But set types.
Yeah, defense. 3x defense, 4x prot.
So when it comes to prot versus defense, here's what I think. I think that for most people, I think the secondaries are going to matter more. You would want defense and offense. because you're going to get handed off a ton of offense from protection.
You want speed and defense.
How
He
much
doesn't need
do
a
you want
ton
it?
of offense. You just want Darth Revan to assist him as much as possible.
That's true. That's true. But how much speed is what you really need? Because here's the thing. Like, let me show you what I've got. We're only 230 speed. What does that amount to as far as added? That's just over 100. Okay.
Yeah, but really quick, Zalbar's multipliers are ass, which is why I say don't really worry too much about the offense.
We managed to stack up a good bit on him, despite.
Yeah, I'm not saying you shouldn't find offense. I'm just saying I'd shoot for like 275, 280 on him speed wise. Like I want him like taking. Remember, you have a bunch of stats, but you're still 2v3ing the opponent, which means you still have to take turns.
Yeah, but we're going to be backslapping the shit out of him. That's what the.
I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying you're still going to have to take a bunch of turns. And mission is theoretically going to give about 250 speed, right? So making him close to like 520 speed is like super good. That means he'll be taking 2 turns to every one of theirs.
280 is an awful lot of speed to commit to this guy.
I find 250. I don't know. My point is I would try to put more speed into him.
Okay. I mean, it's on the, hopefully this one, not this one.
To answer your question, Big Ninja, I would say that speed should be the number 1 or number 2 thing you look on for him because his damage multipliers aren't great. So by stacking a bunch of offense on him, I don't feel like you're maximizing what you could be doing with him. Where if he takes 1 or 2 additional turns throughout the fight, Darth Revan's assist is going to do way more damage than anything Zalbar was ever going to do.
Yeah. Can I say that I think that protection is probably the best way to go, but I think that getting the secondaries is more important, and that if you had to mix health and protection primaries, I don't think that matters as much as the secondaries. Because here's where I'm at with health, protection, crit damage, health for my corners, okay?
I think that the easiest way to take out this team is by melting Zalbar, and the easiest way to melt Zalbar is with health percent damage.
Mm-hmm. Who are you using for health percent damage against this, though, realistically? Who are you using that comes to mind?
Padme CLS. Anything with it, like, those are the 2 that... Padme pops into mind immediately because she's kind of homeless. Like, Padme Snips +1 seems really nasty. Like, if you're cheesing this with Padme Snips, because Darth Revan's going to assist on a turn, proccing the unique on Padme.
Yeah.
I'm simply pointing out that I think that the easiest way to cheese beat this team is with health percent damage. And I think, like, that's... Building against that is the easiest way to do it. Maybe there's a Prot Disruption team that ends up being really good against this, and then you want max health. I'm just saying, going in initially, when you're trying to figure out how teams are going to cheese you, it's usually health percent or annihilate.
Yeah, but so hear me out. I'm talking with beyond the primaries. I'm saying that let's say that I concede that protection would be on paper the better way to go. In reality, for most people and myself, would it not be better to go with whichever primary had the better secondaries, regardless of whether it was health or protection? How much does it matter to you that you have it be a protection primary, I guess, over all of the secondaries?
I think week 1 it'll matter the most.
Okay. I can accept that.
Again, this literally depends on what beats it, how you mod Zalbar, but I think the first course of action, because he lowers his defense, would be to maximize his prot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can respect it. But let's see here. Mateus in the chat says Zalbar's speed doesn't matter because you can't get rid of his taunt or retribution. He is not immune to shock. Like, you could shock him and keep stuff off him that way.
Or buff immunity in general.
Or buff immunity, yeah. But yeah, that's fair. LBC Robbie says, Tass, happy Friday. How cold is it in my birth city? I won't mention it here today because I like you. Hey, man, I mean, I live in the Metro Detroit area, but around here. Oh, really?
Yeah, I also wouldn't mention I'm from Detroit.
Damn.
I get it.
That's bitter. That's It's so bitter. Okay. It is currently 23 degrees Fahrenheit. So what is that? 9 degrees below freezing Fahrenheit? So yeah. Fun times. Fun times. It's not the coldest it's been in the last week, but yes, it is not summer vacation out here. So fair enough. All right. If New Bad Batch beats this, I'm gonna cry, says Big Ninja. Man,
New Bad Batch is gonna beat everything. I don't know about in 3v3, but New Bad Batch.
Yeah, well,
that team's looking like it's gonna take a million turns.
I think we can agree that the value of this is 3 versus 3, though. Now, let's have a quick talk about mission. So, we understand that her value here is to sacrifice herself at the start of battle and hand off her crit chance, crit damage, offense, and speed in full to both Darth Revan and Zalbar. So, that said, I've looked at a couple people's modding, and this, I want to see what your take is on this, because this is damn near forbidden for practically any other scenario. But consider that I did have a crit damage triangle on Zalbar before I show you the following. So we have a crit damage set, crit chance for the aforementioned reasons. Now you said that as much crit chance as Zalbar and Darth Revan stand to have, regardless of the two set, that the crit chance isn't necessary, but obviously, with her sacrificing here at the start of battle, what the hell difference does it make? It might as well.
No. So just for a little bit of context or clarification, you are going to have enough crit chance to crit everyone through masteries, and not enough to crit through Enoch.
Without it being a 2-piece of crit chance, was your point?
No. I mean, like with or without.
With or without? Yeah, without it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying if you can get better stats on non-crit chance on the non-crit chance mods, I would focus on those. That's the only reason I say
in terms of speed, in terms of offense.
Yes.
Makes sense. Fair enough. Fair point. All right. Fair enough. I think that's reasonable, honestly. All right. So that said, it is a 4-piece of crit damage. However, this triangle is offense. Because at battle start, her unique will kick in here. Mission has plus 50% offense. And then she will sacrifice. So with the crit damage triangle on Zalbar and her handing off the crit damage set bonus, albeit without a crit damage triangle, I thought that handing off 140 speed and 3k, offense was a respectable donation. Without a crit damage triangle. What say you to that? Haram. Deeply forbidden.
Yeah.
Go on.
I understand why you say that. I'm not even saying you're wrong, but I'm just saying as far as maximizing damage, you're sacrificing a lot of damage, especially with the ferocity and Darth Revan's lead. I think the multipliers bear out to where you'd want a crit damage triangle to maximize offense. I'd have to do the math to be sure, but I would default on crit damage triangle until the math told me otherwise.
Well,
I
would love if you could take the time to crunch the numbers, because the only reason it's up for consideration is a 50% damage or 50% offense multiplier, right?
It wasn't true back before this happened, so I'm going to doubt that it's true now.
It wouldn't have been true for the sake of her own damage. The question would be in terms of, considering that she could hand off the full value of a crit damage triangle to Zalbar, but we've already gone to the effort of putting a crit damage triangle on Zalbar already. So those are the conditions under which this is predicated.
You should go read ferocity.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, do you know how much offense that is?
It's a lot.
Yeah. It's 8% offense per stack. So I would err on the side of crit damage because you're going to have more offense based off of your base.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that. That would be because once you take everything into account, I'm pretty sure that 40% offense you're getting from Darth Revan is going to be more important than the primary that you're getting from the triangle. Right? 42% crit damage versus 40% offense.
I'm not understanding 40% offense.
5 stacks of ferocity is 40% offense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm saying that I don't think that the amplification of the offense...
You're saying that what's another 8.5% from a primary compared to the weight of a 42% crit damage triangle.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that. Mateus says, at the end of the day, the only secondary set that is remotely applicable is crit chance, so the argument is whether she wants a speed set and a crit damage set or an offense set. Well, Mateus, the point he's making is that conceding that we know what the stats are that are getting handed out when she's sacrificing, there is enough crit chance that's going to go out regardless of what the two-piece is. That Dagger's point was you could probably not even burden yourself with looking for only crit chance sets and find something that has a better mix of speed and offense instead. That was his only point there.
Yeah, they also gain 10% crit chance for every debuff they have.
Yeah.
So they're going to be crit capped in a real hurry.
Yeah.
And they won't stack high enough to crit through Enoch that I can see on paper. So if they're already critting through everyone's CA, I don't really see the point in like going all in on missions crit chance when you could get more of the other stats out. So for example, if you look at her crit chance here on Tassenix stream, she's 139%. The Zalbar was at 50%. All right, that's 80-ish percent. 5 stacks of ferocity brings you up to 230%. I mean, why would you put crit chance on her? Like, subtract all the added crit chance. If you
could have significant gains from secondaries from a different two-piece.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Or correct. Even a broken set. This is an opportunity for broken set mods. So, nice. No, I take the point. I take the point.
Well, I'm responding to Mateus. Yeah, it's not about conceding the point per se. It's more about what does the final product look like. And if you're not R9, maybe you do want to squeeze a little bit extra crit chance on there to get them up to, or not R8 or R9, right? Maybe you want to squeeze a little bit of crit chance on there to get them up to 200 to 220% crit chance. So they're critting through like a Jolie Bindo unique, right, with a CA arrow. Because then Jolie's just chilling at like 250. Right? There are absolutely, I think, situations in which you could add crit chance to mission because you are like R5 or R7, right? You just don't have the crit chance numbers, the raw numbers. Because I'm operating under the assumption you're hitting like pre-Darth Revan lead around 200% crit chance. Right? And that's kind of like where I was going with that. So your results may vary based on your relic levels and your mod depth.
Fair. All right, well, you convinced me. I made the swap.
Good boy. Pat.
I will beat you with a shoe.
Yeah, exactly, Mateus. Like if you're lower relic, then absolutely do what you need to do to make your mods work. Also, forgive me for spinning here. I have a cat on my lap who enjoys spinning.
You like bastard.
Yep.
All right, fair enough. Not worried about what Death Troopers got cooking. All right.
I like crit damage because it's going to probably yield, on average, more damage than an offense set.
Fair. Mateus, Tass, if you apply broken set mods, I will boycott you. Look, I'm just saying that I don't have to do that anymore. But I do remember a time, and Dagger remembers a time, and it was not too long ago when we had to make use of the whole buffalo. And I'm not going to hate on those of you that got to do what you got to do. If you can get the most stats per mod out of broken sets,
all I know is I can sleep well at night knowing that my bot score looks better than Tass's.
Sure. Whatever helps, man. Whatever helps. All right.
No, I kid. No, I do remember when little baby Tass multiple years ago was trying to make his mods work, and then but I don't man. without going too deep in it, the amount of effort and we'll just say resources that you put into your mods over the last few years are ridiculous.
I am capable of a great many things. It's a good time.
Yeah. I don't really think there's a wrong way to mod Zelbar primary-wise, as long as you're erring on the side of bulk. But I do think Prod is better going to be best week 1, just to protect against, Padme and other dumb cheeses. Oh, I just saw your post about the ads on Twitch.
Oh, that's automatic, man. Shout out again to the Lost Womp Rat, who, just did this as a complete favor, but later became a patron. So big love to Lost Womp Rat, who, hooked me up with all these little plugins here, announcing stuff. So, all right. So yeah, the main set though for mission, I do think should be crit damage. Dagger was saying that it could be offense as well, but he did think that crit damage probably breaks better. Especially
I also just don't recommend people farm a lot of crit damage sets. So if people listen to me on what to farm, just put her in an offense set and yell at me later.
You'll make it work.
Well, I mean, like most people just need offense, speed, and like defense, and that'll cover like 80% of your characters.
Fair. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this the way it is. Yeah. Now this one would be interesting. So I'd have to find a replacement protection.
I'm gonna cut my camera for a minute, so hopefully it doesn't mess up your template.
You bastard. It probably will, but I don't care. It's not that big a deal. Yeah, it does, but I'm not mad. It'll have to be that way. Alright, so it costs us 1% armor to gain, what? 25 speed. Drop a bunch of health to gain a bunch of prod. We also pick up a token amount of offense at the same time. I can still what? It's not as fast as it could be, right? Sort by speed. Kind of a mediocre mod. Karth is one of my hardly modded tunes that I was going to juice him up for this last Datacron, and now I'm out of mod slicing material. Yeesh, man. I don't know, man. Karth's not doing it for me. Hasn't been. So, yeah. What am I going to do with this? Is this going to be the protection that Dagger says it should be? I could slice off this potency and try and go for that last offense slice. It would be kind of gnarly. Yeah, man, this could be a really scary fast set in the end. So what is this? It's a drop of 26k to pick up a drop of 26k to pick up 45k? Am I right about that? Calculator, save me from myself. What?
I didn't actually mess up your template at all. That's good.
You did, but it's okay. I'm not mad at it.
I had to go put the kitties with Mom, and I had to go put the kitties to bed.
So it does add up to being about 19k survivability difference by going to just the one extra prop, 2 extra prop primaries. Interesting.
Robbie, we call those pilot mods.
All right. We will remedy these holes that I have made in the roster. All right. LBC Robbie asks, I've been meaning to ask you about that. What do you do with all those 15, 14, 11 secondary speed 6E mods? Eventually, I'm looking to take them up to 6C, which is the blue grade above 6-dotting them. And if they haven't hit 15 speed by then, well, the only reason why they're 6-dot and not 15 speed is that they've hit some really interesting secondaries otherwise. Even so, though, most mods that are not extreme cases, like if it's all percent offense and 5 speed, we all know why I'm keeping the mod. It's not for trying to roll speed on it. But if it's like 10 speed and just barely 6-dot with some decent percent offense rolls, I am expecting a chance at getting 1, 2, maybe even 3 speed rolls. But you're saying, what do I do with all the 15, 14, and 11 secondary speed 6A mods? The opportunities present themselves as I need them. The reason I have them is that they have more of something else than they do speed. So when I'm telling myself, man, I need something in this slot that has a lot of percent defense, percent offense, crit chance, I will sort for that, and lo and behold, this mod that's only, 11 to 15 speed is here, but it's got like a 9.77% crit damage, or crit chance secondary on it. So we're in business.
Also, once you get to a certain point, I know Tass and I talked about this a while back. I don't remember if it made a plotting and scheming. Speed is a lot less necessary these days. And by that, I mean, you can make up for one slow mod, speed mod on your character in a speed set. Because if you're not actively trying to outspeed something, it's more about turn orders or just prioritizing who should be faster, not who should be fast, period. Right? So, like, frequently, like, for example, I think my Gungans, I don't know, I have like 800 plus 20s, but like even my Gungans are like 310. Why? Because they're not really outspeeding anything. Right? Like it's not that they can't be faster, it's just speed allocation can be elsewhere where it has higher impact. So just kind of keep that in mind too when you have some of those slower speed set mods that have good other secondaries. I have a handful of mods that have like 10% tenacity or 10% potency on like an 11 speed mod. And that holds immense value because, you can kind of make up for that with some plus like 20s other places, especially on characters that don't need to be incredibly fast. I'm thinking things like First Order Officer, where you do want a speed set on him, but he really only has to be faster than Hux, and Hux is not a particularly fast character.
All very fair.
So I find uses for slower mods all the time. And when I say slower, I mean those 11, 14, and 15s you're referring to.
Yeah, as do I. Those secondaries mean a lot other than speed.
It really does suck to have a 12 or to have a 13 speed mod on 3 rolls.
Again, all of this is predicated on the condition that there are some really commanding secondaries otherwise. Something like that would otherwise be a hard pass.
Yeah, so the example I always use is prior to gas, we didn't have offense set protection primaries in our inventories. And prior to JKL, we didn't prioritize protection primaries on our offense mods. Like, there will be these characters that come out, and they'll kind of set a new tone for, like, what you want on mods. So by keeping some of the random ones around with just really good stats, eventually a character is going to come out that will want those stats.
Fair. All right. LBC Robbie says, so just hold them until the right stat you weren't trying to roll comes along for a tune that needs it. Got it. Thanks, guys. I was hoping there was some magical way to change them to what you want. I mean, by what you want, I'm assuming you mean make them actually hit the speed, and that's what calibrations are for if they're already 6A. If they're not hitting, and you've already the number of rolls that you're generally comfortable committing, you gotta just accept the lay of the land that you're on, man. You didn't get what you were looking for. What is this mod good at? I'm gonna be honest with you. there will come a point, the higher you get in the game, where there are going to be mods that are 20 plus speed, even with decent secondaries that go unused because you've got better things in the right places already. So to keep such a lower speed mod, like a sub 20 speed mod, for it to justify its place, it really has to be exceptional. The right mod at the right time. You just have to have your eye open to it when it pops up. When you go to look at the character and you're thinking about the goals you want to hit for it, the speed, the offense, the defense, the crit chance, the what have you. Whatever it is, have that in mind, and hey, that mod will appear when you do your sorts or your filter, you know? It's gonna reveal itself. That's how a lot of the cool moddings I pull off, like, show up to me. So, anyway, sorry.
And to answer your question, Luminous RXK, your second or third best speed set with your best health primary speed is. So when you ask what a good speed is, I would just say whatever you can muster on your roster that would be the equivalent of the second or third best speed set you could accumulate.
Well, and I would say like that answer.
370, 375, but it giving a number just feels mean or rude to people who are newer to the game.
Well, not even mean. It's just I think you'll probably go along with this take. But the idea is that you should take a look where you rank in Grand Arena and look at players on either side of your rank. Like, look at the people that you're among, and look at the type of, you know, speed that they've got on their Exile Ezra, and try to be better than the folks that you're, you know, 8 above you and 8 below you. Is, you know, brackets are made of 8 players, so you figure worst case scenario, protecting yourself either way. Look at the 8 players above you. If you really wanted to do your homework here, we're talking the 8 players above you, the 8 players below you. Look at the best Ezra and try and make yourself, you know, somewhere close to that. But at the top of Kyber 1, yes, very common to be 370 plus. 375 is reasonably common. 380 is the stretch goal at the very top of the game.
Yeah, so I would just revert back to my previous answer then, Luminous RXK. Your second or third best overall speed set with your best speed health primaries.
There you
go. Because between him and Cat, I would put him slightly above Cat. Yeah, and that's the thing. Another thing too is when people ask a lot of these questions, I remember I was talking to one of Tass's patrons about you're only in a race with yourself. You're only in a competition with yourself. So when you ask these questions, we can give you stretch goals, but those don't help you if you're not able to have our mod depth or, you know, our roster depth.
And realistically, it's about who you're fighting. You don't need to be 50 speed faster than the next fastest guy on all your key tunes. You just don't need to be. It would be best if you were the same speed or even a little faster, right? So being realistic with who it is that you're fighting and you know, you could stretch that speed that much further that you have on your more limited speed depth. Like, you could spread that a little bit better by knowing who your competition is. That's a little bit more homework to do it, but it depends on how badly you really want that max value out of your mod depth.
But yeah, it's really... Ezra falls into the category of you just want him fast, not because you want to be faster than your opponent's anything, but just because you want him taking the most turns you could possibly make him take. And there aren't many characters in the game that you want to have a better speed set on.
It's fair.
But he does want particular primaries, which is why I added the caveat of health primaries, and then make all the make his diamond and square as fast as you possibly can. Like maybe your first or second best one's there. But yeah, a lot of people built sets for Cat, and if you did, just move that over. Cat speed is much less relevant these days. Yeah, one thing I will say too, and I say this as somebody who spent years punching up. Tass has been usually one of the bigger dogs, where I've historically punched up a lot. Focus on counters that don't require being faster or bulkier that win on mechanics. And then you just mod your team to be the best version of itself, and you can stop competing with mod depth of other people. For example, your Zori team doesn't need to be faster than anybody. They just need to get a turn. And then your opponents don't get turns. Right? The thing about it in those kinds of things, right? Same with like teams like Mon Mothma or what have you. Mon Mothma's more of a fringe because a lot of people don't build that team out till they're already done. But just to kind of give you an example of a team that, with relatively low investment, you can do a lot with. Focus your relics on characters for raids. Do your best with off counters. Like this team that Tass is doing in the raid right now, you should have R9. Maybe not the R2, but those three should be R9.
It's fair. So LBC asks, that's kind of my problem. I've been playing people with 2-3 million more GP than I have and 2-3 more GLs. Now that I finally caught up, I forgot I didn't have to reach on every match. Yeah, I've definitely, Dagger's not wrong. Like, I'm one of the larger accounts in the game now, but there were plenty of years when I was definitely not that. And I've had to punch up in the past in a way that I mostly don't need to now. And when I remember the strategic shift of mind going from not having the resources to having them. It is a big difference. Because you have to play like you do have them when you do. Your opponent is expecting it. So...
Well, yeah, that's what I was talking to when I was saying, like, focus on your off counters that need less investment and win via mechanics. Mm-hmm. If you're punching up a lot, and if you're not punching up a lot, or if you finally caught up, I remember when I finally caught up, I remember telling Tass this. I remember verbally telling Tass this at one point. It's like, it feels good to, like, when you set your defense, not have to worry about having enough for offense. Because I remember when I did catch up, and I'm sure Tass remembers when I finally felt like I had caught up too, where I finally got to breathe that sigh of relief about, I can set a defense.
Yeah.
For a long time, I was one of those people who couldn't set things because I was down a GL, down this, down that.
Hey, Zimmy. Hey, Tass, how you doing? He says, yeah, Zimmy, man. That's a man who puts overtime commenting on YouTube videos. My YouTube videos. So good to see you, man. Glad you could make it here for a live stream. But yeah, So he says, hey Dagger, I heard you're scared of HR, so we have to be nice to you now. I remember my first beer.
Oh, it is not a long stretch for people in my life to figure out what my gamer tag is, and then from there find the places and spaces I occupy. So I have to be... I don't want to say nice. That's the wrong way to phrase it. I have to be cognizant of the fact that anything I say or do on stream, there's a better than even chance that my HR department will see me. That's why, wow, you're not even getting 3.6 million here? You gotta restart.
I never do on this fight. Never. But I always get like my 12 point whatever.
The trick is to have JMA do it for you.
Nah, I don't bother with any of that.
I'm just giving you shit.
Fun fact, this is my claim to fame about this raid. My full-time Grand Arena modding is the same as my raid modding.
Oh. My claim to fame with this raid is I put one fight on auto and collect my rewards.
That's fair. All right, next fight. Good questions, though, so far.
Yeah, Zimmy, it's funny because I'll give you a little look into my life a little bit. My youngest goes by Butterknife because people in my real life call me Dagger because that is a nickname that was given to me in high school. So when people call me that, he'll introduce himself as Butterknife. Like this is like I have been called Dagger for damn near 20 years now. So yeah, it wasn't a hard leap for people to get there. Plus, when I put my face on these things, like literal face on these things, hard to hide that I am in fact who I am.
It's fair. Ryrock says, I finally got my 8th GL, Galactic Legend Ahsoka, last week. Now the matchmaking algorithm should not match me with the top roster of the group, even when I have the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th biggest roster. Well, hey, I mean, again, there's something to be said for actually having the resources, so congratulations.
Also, I'm not sure that's how matchmaking works, but...
Yeah, me neither, but, I don't want to take away from the feeling that you are moving into a bigger and better area of the game.
It's also nice to know. Mm-hmm. Sorry, really quick. It's also nice to know that you are not the smallest in your bracket.
Fair.
Just that alone makes you feel a little bit better about your chances.
Yeah,
if you have a poor week, somebody's going to have a worse one.
Mm-hmm. Momada's right. Do not expect matchmaking to make sense. And that's really the truth of it. I mean, I can only speak to the experience I've had the last year plus, floating in and above the top 50 in Kyber 1. Matchmaking often doesn't make sense. You will have weeks, and Dagger's witnessed it on my behalf recently here, where I went 3-0 and I went 3-0 on the week 1 of a season, and then the next week started 1 rank lower than I started the previous week because of all the erodiums flooding in from the top with that erodium bug. So
the last time I was in the top 100, I was like 105, and then I won 3 in a row. And after my going into my third round, I'm like, this is going to be really great. It says like 68, and I'm, and I won, so I'm going to be like maybe in like the mid 50s. I might even be close to the 40s. And then I won, and I was 79 to start the next week. I lost like 40 spots for winning.
So you have to find your peace, your inner peace. You have to do the goose fraba. Ryrock says, it boggles my mind, though, since it seems more often than not I get matched with one of the biggest rosters in round 1. Look, you got to take it as a blessing. Here's my view. Here's my view as somebody that's been duking it out now for years out here in Grand Arena. I will say I welcome all real opponents. I welcome the cheesers. I welcome the guys that are bigger than me. I welcome the guys that are smaller than me. It's all a different stress. I need all of the different kinds of practice.
We're all bigger than him, but he's talking about rosters.
You feel better now?
I don't feel worse.
Got that out of your system, bud?
You've seen me in the intros of the plotting and scheming. I always have some in the system. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wolfman asks a great question in the chat. How much time do you typically spend prepping for a matchup in Grand Arena? So let's say it isn't like a weekend match where it's like the toughest match of the week. If it's not that scenario, it'll be under 2 hours. Under 2 hours, and that's me spending time workshopping with TJ and or Dagger when he's around, but it's rare Dagger's around these days. But it's mostly me and TJ in the last couple hours before Grand Arena Lock that we'll get together and workshop our ideas. We'll usually have a skeleton of what we're thinking before we meet, and then just ask each other questions about what we're thinking about doing. That whole process as a collaboration is usually under 2 hours. However, if it's a real premier matchup, I'll give myself, I don't know, maybe an extra hour to really dig deep into the scout. So when I was first really getting deep into scouting and I was building my personal process for how I wanted to go about it, I was spending a hideous amount of time. I mean 4 to 6 hours scouting. And I don't recommend that, but that's the type of process I had to put myself through to chop it down to the point where if I'm doing it with TJ or a group, 2 hours or less. If I'm doing it by myself, thereabouts of an hour. Hour and 15, hour and 20, something like that.
In my experiences, I don't know who the question was directly directed at, but I usually spend about a half hour. I spend significantly less time than Tess and TJ, like Tass said, I am less available during the time slot a couple hours before GAC. So I have not been joining them as much, not because I don't want to, but because my availability does not always, or at least recently has not allowed for it due to, work and other things. But yeah, I usually give it about a half hour. I try to cap myself on how much effort I put in, because I have times where I could really, really get into the weeds. If I have, I'm not saying I have a ton of free time all the time, but if I had 2 hours of free time and I started digging into somebody's .gg, Tass knows, or Tass was there back in the days when Set 4 Datacrons were around, where I actually put in 2 hours sometimes looking for anything I could exploit, because I didn't have Starkiller or Lord Vader.
Yeah. Scribe says, wait, you guys scout? Damn right I do, man. That's part of the pleasure of the game for me. I spend a lot of time on it because I love it.
Honestly, if you just pull Omegabot and Hotbot to get an idea of, are you evenly matched, and then get an idea of how heavy they set, not like me where I am heavy set, but how heavy of a defense that your opponent set, I think that's generally enough for the average person. Because it is really, really easy to outwork somebody who puts in no effort.
Yeah, that's a great question, great distinction to make, because when folks ask how much time do I spend prepping for it, they might be thinking it's I might need to spend that type of time myself to achieve results anything similar to what Tass does, and that's absolutely not the case. There are players my rank and better that do not scout at all. It's a personal approach to the game. I enjoy inspecting the butthole wrinkles of my opponent such that I could identify a print of it, like a thumbprint of it. I could identify an anus print of my opponents just by how well I know their Grand Arena history. And I'm not ashamed to say it. That's part of my fun of playing the game, because when I win from that, oh, God, the bliss of pulling off the scheme like that, right? Where I know what they're going to play so well that I held everything I needed and I basically got to set everything else on defense. Just, can't beat it with a stick, right? So, for me, that's where it's at. You could absolutely do what Dagger said. Use tools like Omegabot, Hot Utils, and shorten up your scouting time to 30 minutes or less. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then the other question that I saw that I actually really like. So does getting the Zalbar Omi make you think we will get more Omi from legacy characters? If so, what faction team would you see get the next one?
Good question.
So my initial take on this, and I'm not sure how correct I am, but my first thought when I saw that was, well, Karth has a TB leadership, so it makes sense that Zalbar gets a GAC one, because they're trying to push this team's investment in newer people who are trying to compete, and if they're going to build this team for TB, why not give it other applications?
Sure.
That was my initial knee-jerk thought. I don't know how accurate that is, but then if I extrapolate off of that, we're looking at things like Rolo. And OG Finn has a TB lead, and Zori and Rose have GAC Omis. Right? So just looking at that, it kind of makes sense in my head. So the next people they would look at would go look at people who have TW Omis and TB Omis, and what teams they're on. Characters that don't have set teams like Sidious or T3M4. Right? Look at some of those characters that don't have teams, and there could easily be somebody who gets an Omi for those kinds of things for GAC or a different game mode. To answer the question in a more practical sense of what team would I like to see get more Omis, dude, give something like Mon Mothma a TW Omi. Maybe not Mon Mothma herself. Maybe give it to a character you don't use, like Kara. But I would like to see teams, especially triple Omi teams, get GAC Omis, or get Omis for a game mode that they aren't currently being used in. For example, Dad Bod Boba, give Fennec a GAC Omi. Right? Give her an Omi that makes Dad Bod good in GAC. Give somebody on the trench team a GAC Omi. Things like that. Or give I'm trying to think, because the newer teams have GAC and TW Omis on the team, right? All the new teams coming out, right? When we look at like Queen Amidala, they have the GAC and the TW Omis. I would like to see them flesh out some of the triple Omi teams like that already have stuff.
Fair. I see Oberong in the chat says, the plotting and scheming, yeah, I stole it, is my favorite part of Grand Arena. That's right, man. That's right. That's literally, I mean, that process is where the name of the show came from. It's for the love of the plotting and the scheming, man. That's the way. Jonathan Diver says, give Sith Empire a real TW Omi. I hear that. I'm down with that. It's interesting that Dagger took it in a non-GAC direction because obviously I'm just about exclusively only thinking in terms of Grand Arena. So
no, I absolutely talked about Trench and Dadbod Boba being better in GAC. I absolutely mentioned those two specifically.
You did. And Trench, I do love. Dadbot, I actually like that idea because... yeah, man. Mercenary, Datacron, or no, I really don't see a case where I want Dadbot Boba with my Tusken Chieftain in 3 versus 3 more than I want Raider with Dadbot, and that's the issue. You only get the goodness from the Tusken Chieftain leadership Omicron if there is no ally no one in the ally slot at battle start, so no summon. So mutually exclusive with that. So yeah, I don't know. I would love to see him made useful though, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I would want Fennec and Dooku to get Omis. I think Dooku is doing. I would actually just like a Jedi Dooku or a Darth Tyrannus instead of an Omi. But if we're asking for somebody who deserves some kind of rework in an Omi, Dooku definitely deserves some kind of rework in the form of an Omi.
Well, I think we're. I don't want to say we're all but certain, but I think we're reasonably confident that there's going to be a Jedi Master Dooku. So we'll get at least one form of Dooku, maybe not the darkest
really?
form.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. It sounds more like it's going to be Sifo Dyas.
I don't think it has to be either or.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, my fear is that they're going to give us just another Qui-Gon and just tell us to go fuck ourselves.
I mean, I also think that there is going to be a young Qui-Gon. I don't think that's an unrealistic expectation.
Oh yeah, I would only be okay with that insofar as we get Jedi Master Dooku.
Fair. I'm not mad at that. Molmata said scouting worked against me completely. 2 weeks. Let me see. Last 2 weeks, my opponents completely changed their defense after running the same the first 2 weeks of 5 vs 5. It completely wrecked my plans. Scouting is so powerful if you're gonna do it. And I love doing it so much. Dagger knows that I live by this. I've been saying it for years. I enjoy playing the man more than I enjoy playing the game. Seeing what you're about and running counter to that.
Somehow he's still a shit poker player.
Fair. But you've never played poker with me. But the idea is that there is no strategy that I am so loyal to that I will not change it up if I see a hole in what you're doing, something that I think I can exploit. I'll put myself out of my comfort zone if I think that there's a value gain from it, just from what your history shows. So, yeah.
Yeah, also, one thing I noticed is there were times I got a little bit burned by scouting, but that's one of the things we're, like, learning about how opponents, sort of what Tass said about playing the man, but knowing what macro team or macro meta is like also helps. For example, I know Tass and I talked about this before about how, I don't think it ever made a PNS, but there were times where we talked about how this is a back in the day example, Gas or CLS is going to be down. They both fill the same role of drawing the team that they want to draw in C, right? But you don't know which one is going to be down. But they absolutely are going to set, like, for example, scouting, they may have changed everything up, but was it still 4 GLs, 2 triple Omi teams, and some filler? Did they actually change it up, or did they just, give you the same thing, but on a, with a different presentation? Food for thought. Because I've noticed that when I change things up, I have to actually change things up. Because frequently, if I change things up, it's like I said, I'm just not changing my macro strategy. I'm just switching teams around to try to trip somebody up.
Yep.
Also, Jonathan, Chromium doesn't have a sandbox. I wish we did.
Oh, Jonathan Dyer, evening to you as well, Task. Going back to Zalbar being worth it or not, has Chromium Sandbox showed some good results? This has been much rumored. I'll be honest with you. As far as I know, it is just rumor. I've never seen it. I've never seen anything that looks like it. I am in our war room. I am not what I would call on the innermost echelon of Maw leadership. So I concede that I do not see all that transpires, but I think it unlikely that if we had any kind of tool of that power, that it would be entirely under wraps after all this time. And yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
Also, the gauntlet's dead, so like, what's the point?
But then again, I do have. But wasn't it? Didn't Arnold just show a video that used footage showing how the 3 versus 3 Omicron works? So how does one produce that footage outside of a simulated environment? So I don't know where that comes from. I'll be honest with you. I have no idea where that came from.
One thing I will say is that Maw does have a tool in which they can isolate accounts to remove access, but that is not the same as having a sandbox, if you will.
Well, we would agree. We would both agree that you would need some type of tool of that kind to simulate the effect of the 3 versus 3 Omicron while there is no 3 versus 3 active. So, I see what you're saying, Wolfman. Plausible deniability, smart. Look, you can decide for yourself whether you think I'm bullshitting you, but, to the very best of my knowledge, we have no such tool.
And I have a pretty good relationship with the TW leads, or I guess previous Chromium lead, and the current AU and VG leads, and to their knowledge, it also does not exist, and they have access to far more information than I do.
So all this to say, I think we've done a pretty good job, the both of us, of being clear that there may be an extent to what it is that we know, but as far as the both of us know, I've not seen anything like it. And I've not personally benefited from any such thing, I'll say that.
We do have a tool that we have used when people buy or sell accounts to remove access from previous owners.
I don't even know how that works. What does that do?
What they do is they isolate your thing. They have a program that isolates your SWGOH account so you can remove all access to it while still remaining access to the account while it's isolated, and then they just reapply one of the connections. So it severs previous connection. And I think that might be where the rumor comes from.
But that's a long way from. So where does that 3 versus 3 video that Arnold showed come from, though? Because that's a long way from pulling off a result like that, right? And that's basically what people are talking about when they say sandbox. They mean pulling off stuff like that.
Yeah.
So somebody has something like that, right?
Yeah, that is much different. Also, I wouldn't mind seeing Jawas get a Gakomi. I mean, the problem with giving teams like, Jawas a Gakomi is that I'm not saying they have to make it good, but they historically, when they put a backlog Omi on something, they go out of their way to make it worth it. And I don't know how much they want to make people build their Jawas in this world where I don't think any Jawas are required for anything. Am I wrong?
No, I don't think so.
So that's the only reason I don't think they'll get one. I'm not saying they shouldn't. I think they could or should, etc.
Yeah. Wolfman says, I just think it is funny that Maw Chromium somehow has the exclusive privilege and no one else does. And you were saying above that, Wolfman, I'm just giving into the paranoia and rumors. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely heard that accusation levied against Chromium, and I mean, I know that I personally would avoid using such a thing because I would consider that to be an unfair advantage. But even if I wasn't willing to use it myself, you would think that as long as I've been here, I would at least have been privy to seeing it, to knowing of it, explicitly existing. So
Yeah, well,
read from that what you will.
Well, and like I said, Chromium does have an external tool that they can use. But yeah, it does not have the ability to isolate Omicrons or anything along those lines. Yeah. So I'm not sure what RMC has told you. And I'm again, like Tass said, I'm not saying for certain that it doesn't exist. But
I'm not benefiting from it.
Yeah, it's really, really difficult to basically what I'm saying is if you claim to have external evidence, I would like to see external.
Oh yeah, that would be welcome. I'm not willing to die on it for sure.
Yeah, I just think that it's too big a secret to conceal, kind of thing.
Yeah. Now, Hedgehog with the Switch, first time chatter, by the way. Appreciate you, man. Or at least that's what the log says here tonight. It says it comes from a guy in the event server who shared that footage. Yeah, I know that wasn't like an Arnold original or anything, so I wasn't trying to put anything on him there. But like, yeah, what do you know about that, Hedgehog? Like, did that guy say how he produced that footage? I have no idea. Because I saw the same clip everybody else did of what that explosive damage from the Darth Revan Zalbar looks like. I'm excited for it, but I have no idea how somebody did that.
I also do appreciate that they are taking some of these older characters and trying to make them more relevant in today's meta, especially because like I have some friends who started a few years ago, and they are actively building some, TB teams and have some TB Omis because their guild is pushing for some unknown reason. Like, there's no reason to push in TB. The rewards aren't good enough to push for. But I think that there are a lot of people who, for some reason, enjoy TB. And I think making those teams that you build for TB good other places. Same with teams in GAC and all that. I think making teams multifunctional is fantastic, especially older teams. Because I really enjoyed the Karth team. Like, I don't know if you remember Tass, but back in the day, I loved using the Karth team for doing a bunch of stuff.
No, I don't actually remember that. That is too far back.
Oh, okay. That was a team I felt was a ton of fun. Mm-hmm. Like, you had to pick your matchups for what it beat, but it definitely beat a bunch of stuff like Bounty Hunters that people would set a lot. Like that Django lead Bounty Hunter team with Nest.
Yeah.
It would beat the crap out of that team.
Those were good
for
times.
Max Banners. So yeah, that's kind of what I mean.
Completely fair. Hedgehog says, I don't know how he produced the footage, but he somehow can emulate different game modes and activate Omis and other units. He did it for Galactic Legend Ahsoka and TW as well. Sounds like somebody with a custom tool. That's the sort of thing that would be required to do that, so okay. I'm not hating on it. It's fair. You even had some footage with the Crate Dragon on his team. Ah. Okay, yeah. Well, if that guy's that proficient, good on him. Nice. Next questions, folks. Roll them in. Just grinding through raid. Then I'm going to knock out some TB missions. And then if we're all not falling asleep at the keyboard or the couch, as the case may be, then I might do some more Conquest. But I've already done everything I needed to do for today. So we'll play it by ear. Where is Nest going in 3s and 5s? Well, in 5s, most of us were sticking here with Ray. I think that's a generically reasonable choice. In 3s, I
don't have a good answer for 3v3. Is she a mercenary? Can you stick her with Balin?
I think she's a smuggler, not a mercenary.
Okay, well, nix that idea then.
Yeah.
We're not going into...
Yeah, we're heading into 3s next.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're going into 3s, so we're not going into 5s. Where would I use Nest?
So I think we were talking about this the other day on the show, but the idea would be like, so Ray, Swallow, and who? I think that
Probably.
Hmm?
I mean, that might be just the best place to put her week 1, because it is relatively anti-Star Killer, I think. Maybe not anti-Star Killer, but with... Wait, do we still have Star Killer's Cron, or did that rotate?
No, that's gone.
Yeah. It might be... It's definitely anti-Malicos. Nest has historically been good against Malicos. Yeah, I expect to see a lot of people sticking it with Ray.
Well,
I don't
I
know if
was
that's
going
the
to
best
say,
place to
like,
put it.
for my part, I'm still thinking that my Fulcrum Set 19 Cron has Fulcrum sitting with Galactic Legend Ahsoka, in which case I feel like it's a better value spread to have Exile Ezra elsewhere, and I'm thinking probably with Rey, like I was, at least, you know, like I was at the end of last season. I might start out that way, which means that there's like a Seer... Malicos Nest. There's Fin Nest. There's, I don't know, anything Nest. What do you think about that?
I think that if people want to be creative, they will find a lot of places to put her. I think me personally, I'm probably just gonna start by putting her with like some random team. So when I'm building my teams, I'm not even going to build a team for Nest. I'm just going to put Nest on whatever team is the last team I set. Maybe like Dash Vandor Nest. Right? I think that's kind of where I'll end up. That's where I'll kind of end up landing. Is I'll put her just on a team to make it a team on defense.
Fair. Yeah, Jonathan Diver says the guy who's got that tool showing that footage from the SWGOH event server. His name is Barbarossa. Yeah, I've talked with that guy. Nice guy. Okay. His sandbox is different than Chromium's latest operational tool that I've read. You're way more read up on this than I am, dude. Like, if you have explicit knowledge of Chromium and have a similar tool, then you very much know more about it than I do.
Yeah.
So... Again, I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm telling you that I don't know. I don't know enough to tell you. I don't know enough to tell you that you're wrong. So I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong.
That's kind of where I'm at too. Because, like I said, I'm friends with two of the. Well, I would like to think I'm friends with Asa, but I don't talk to him like a ton as like just back and forth. But I'm pretty good friends with two of the last 3 like TW leads, and they never really mentioned it to me. And I feel like that'd be something that would be mentioned to someone who was like also on a TW staff.
Sure, yeah, as involved as
Alliance,
you would have been with TW at the time, sure.
Yeah, I was also in like the VG and AU war rooms at different points with RMC. I was in VG with RMC, and no such tool existed at that time either.
Clearly, if such a thing exists, it's reasonably
unknown to me. Is my point.
Yeah, it's reasonably on the down low. So
yes. So
not here to call anybody a liar.
Yeah. I don't doubt that it exists. He seems pure. I've just never heard of it. Well, I've heard rumblings, but never seen evidence. And when I ask, it is, no. And like I said, I feel like that's a secret that would be hard to keep.
That's what I think. It's not that I don't think that there could be something secret like that, but for as long as it's alleged to have existed and for there to have been no really big leaks internally about the knowledge of it, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, it's possible. It's possible.
And I was in the VG war room with RMC and his tools and bots. Mm-hmm. And I was in the AU war room with RMC with his tools and bots. And
ooh, don't you dare kill him. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. If it exists extra down low, or it's a new thing, but it can't be a new thing considering how long they've been accused of having it. So I don't know.
Well, dig this. Hedgehog with the Switch says, I'm thinking Leia, Chewie, and Nest. So
I saw that.
Huh?
I saw that. Yeah, I was thinking about it. I think it's good.
I think it is an interesting concept because that means you can do Saw Drogon, which I love me some Saw Drogon. Saw Drogon
Saw
is spice.
Drogon whom? Luthen?
Sure. It's tough to go wrong at the point that you have Saw and Drogon.
Saw without cracks is so bad.
It depends on the meta, but I take your point. Please don't kill him. Stop taking turns, you bastards.
No, I mean, I think that's a really good use. I'm just trying to think of where I would use Drogon then. Maybe like, Drogon Saw Saw Drogon cracks might be good. Then you're basically just marrying Luthen to Mon Mothma, which I guess is fine-ish. Mon Mothma has less uses in 3s, though.
Nice. There we go.
It's been a while since I put a lot of effort into 3s, so I'm trying to remember how thin my resources are spread in 3v3, if that makes sense. I'm trying to think if this is something where I could actually trash, a good character and not care. Because I do really like that idea.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to think of how it would play out otherwise, with moving stuff around. But I do really like that idea. Giving Nest guard seems really dirty.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I do like Saw Drogon. I also just took my Saw to Relic 9 today, so I'm delighted with that.
Welcome to be part of the crew.
That's going to be fun, man. He's a big boy.
Just know there's nothing you will R9 that I have not already R9.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
You will not be the first.
All right. Depressed Wampa says, if I put Ezra with my Galactic Legend Ahsoka, what two would you guys put with Rey, Baby Cal, and Ben in Grand Arena? So, yeah, I'm assuming it's in 5s.
Yeah, if we're talking about 5s, then it's probably just so you said Ben, Cal, probably like Nest Zeris or Nest L3.
Yes, Vin, or let's see, yes, Wolfman, yes, exactly. That you have an R9 or Nomads to Dagger. That's right.
I would also, man, there are some things that I would say to that, but I'm not trying to break TOS or like throw anybody under the bus or anything. Yeah. Tass has a long history of doing bad R9s, so this is a good one, and I'm glad he's doing it.
Well, that's good. I'm glad. Vin says, holy moly, Saturday morning, drunk AF and Tassenix live. What a way to start the weekend. Yeah, man, just a pop-up stream. I polished off a bottle of wine. I'm chilling here, knocking out Raid and TV and answering questions. And so, yeah, glad you're here, man. Big Deal says, I only have 19 Relic 9s. Just did Young Han and Vandor Chewie. Wow, you're a team player. Looking forward to an awesome Dash team. Okay, yes, you do have the bones of that. You most certainly do. All right, that one's done. Last but never least, this one. Keep them questions coming, folks. Man, I got
Young Han is super underrated as like a high relic spec. He does a ton of damage when he ramps up.
True. It's so rare. Vandor's
another interesting one to R9 because he's generally the primary target. But yeah, is Young Han did you do that for fun, Big Deal, or did you do that for like what do you call it, a TB thing?
To be a G in TB. That's my guess. Yeah, Dojo. He did special missions TV. That's why he did it. But Dojo Moto...
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier too, about the NASD being dumb. They're on an ad break, so We'll just
Oh,
jerk off for like 90 seconds.
that's true. Yeah. I'll wait. Well, actually, Dojo. Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's fine. I'll wait. That's a good question, though. That's a good question. We will attend to that.
But yeah, if you're free this weekend, well, actually, I shouldn't say this weekend. If you're free tomorrow, I don't know how I feel about streaming some zombies.
When tomorrow?
I don't know, when are you available?
Don't bullshit me. How early are you available?
I mean, earlier than normal? Look, as the guy who messages you at like 8 in the morning your time to see if you want to play zombies,
That's what
I don't
I'm
think you're
asking. That's why I'm saying I don't believe this should be difficult for you to give me the time. Yeah, we're on the same page now. Yeah.
I am asking when you're available.
I mean,
Okay, let me.
you know what
let me
I'm
rephrase that
doing.
question.
I'm doing this with you until it becomes too late to do this. Then I'm going to pass out. Then I'm going to wake up. I'm going to put on a pot of coffee. And then, I don't know. So, yeah.
Fair enough. No, I should be around tomorrow, like late afternoon.
Oh, late afternoon.
I
That's
don't
much later
have
than I
any
thought.
pressing. I don't have any pressing things I have to do tomorrow. I have a sick house.
Come
So
on.
I'll probably end up doing. I have to make a run to Menards tomorrow, and I have to do a couple other things. So probably I can probably commit to like somewhere around like 4 p.m. your time to like midnight your time.
Okay, we might be able to pull that off. That's fine. I think that's good. Okay, so we're back from ad break.
YouTube, well, Twitch is done in 2, 1. Ads are done.
Okay, good deal. Good deal. So yeah, the question here before we went on ad break was, why are some saying tenacity for Zalbar? The ferocity sucks it away. Yeah, for tenacity and for defense. I think that for tenacity, it is no real value. Because not only are you talking about having guard, which is immunizing you from, what is it there, stun and
Daze
what?
and stun.
Daze and stun. Immunizing you from daze and stun. But then you have Darth Revan's unique Conquer that's saying whenever you are ability blocked or stunned, it would be dispelled, and then you gain ferocity. So you've got a couple different forms of protection against the leading debuffs. Now, you still could be shocked or whatever, but as you've already pointed out, with ferocity going on him, negative tenacity seems like quite a losing proposition. Whereas we had just talked about a little while earlier here in this stream about how defense mods with good stats, speed, offense, defense, is a value because the defense mitigating the loss from ferocity is, I think we think, it will be a factor in extending Zalbar's life. So,
Yeah.
That's the thought.
Especially being crit immune because of guard.
That too. Yeah, crit immunity. Yeah. Good catch, Dojo. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, Red.
Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
I think defense is a good thing because without being crit, I think leaning into defense is like okay, especially on Zalbar because he's having his defense taken away and because mission is giving him offense and crit damage, so you don't really need to build that. So you really want to build things that he can't do himself, and making him fast and thick will make Darth Revan take more turns, which is ultimately what you actually care about is how many turns can you make Darth Revan take.
Very fair. Dojo says, been racking my brain as well as Gildy's the past few days. Still no true answer. Yeah, I mean, I think the true answer is there's no real value to tenacity mods. Like, the things
No, I'll just say, honestly, I think it's because people didn't, fully read or understand the kits.
Yeah, the situation's not exactly 100% straightforward, but yes.
No, that's exactly what I said, Dojo. He's going to assist, so making sure that Zalbar's taking more turns, so Darth Revan gets more turns, right? When I say getting turns, I mean whenever Zalbar goes, he assists. So just simply saying by that statement that speed should be something you keep in mind for Zalbar as well. Zelbar, even with all that offense and crit damage, I don't think he is going to do a ton of damage. He'll do some damage, but his multipliers aren't great. So I don't know how much damage he'll actually
No,
do.
I think fueled by 2 crit damage triangles and all of that crit chance and all of that offense, he's gonna slap the shit out of somebody. Don't undersell it. It's gonna be significant.
Sorry. Let me put it this way. I still think that Darth Revan on a basic is going to do like 50% to 150% more damage than any of the things Albar is going to do.
Fair.
That's all I meant by that. Is the damage on the team is going to be, in video games when it tells you who did the most damage to you, Darth Revan is going to do most of the damage.
Well, and we know that part of the value of Zalbar's kit is that he activates Darth Revan, so even the kid is on your side with that position.
Yeah, I mean, you must have missed like the 25 or 30 minutes we put into talking about this at the beginning. But basically, I would say err on the side of protection week 1 because the easiest way to cheese this is with health percent. So I would look into making him a minimum 250, probably stretching up to 275 if possible. That gets him up near 500 to 525 speed. So any speed you put on Zalbar is speed you don't have to prioritize on mission. Darth Revan's already going to be really fast. So if you put no speed on Zalbar, that means you're going to have to prioritize speed on mission, which means you're taking away offense from Darth Revan. So this is all just a push-pull of where you want your stats to come from. And I would prefer more offense on mission than speed. Not saying you shouldn't put some speed on mission. I'm just saying I would prioritize the offense on mission because I would prioritize the offense on Darth Revan.
All right, that's fair. Yeah, just wondering if added speedy. Okay, yeah, you just answered that to Dojo. So Vin asks, speaking of relics, my current project is to relic 7 every character. 22 to go, though this cost me to relic 8, 9 more ones. What's your stand on the balance between fun projects and roster progress? I mean, Dagger loves to give me shit about the things that I like to R9, but you can ask him, regardless of whether or not he agrees with me, the intent is always to give me an edge in Grand Arena. That's what it's for. That's what I care about the game for, is Grand Arena. So whether or not it actually gives me an advantage is entirely aside from the point that my intent behind it is for an edge in Grand Arena.
Yeah, and to answer your roster, I don't know when the last time Tass was behind, but I was behind as early ago as last summer. I was pretty far behind. And I will say that the prioritization is always going to be with your return on investment. Right? So, for example, if you're trying to work on projects that you want to do, you need to prioritize the return on investment. So, for example, I would prioritize GLs over pretty much any personal project you would think of doing, just because I think GLs are going to have the highest return on investment. And then, if you're trying to decide between Balin or R7ing a team, that's a way better discussion than should I R7 this team or go get Ahsoka. And that's kind of where I'm coming from with that is, there is no real room to be a slave to this game when the only person you're competing with is yourself. So it really depends on what do you want or need regarding this game. So if you want to work on stuff you find fun after your core is mostly built out, go for it. It's a really long answer to basically say play however the fuck you want to play. My prioritization is always whatever the highest EV or ROI thing is going to be the most fun because it's going to either reduce my frustration or add to my enjoyment. Fantastic. I don't know if Tass feels differently.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. By the way, thank you for the follow, CT Drill. Appreciate you. Kane Weapons Grade CNC Legions asks, why do you... Oh. Well, I'm not going to answer that.
You can block us.
That's an unkind question. I don't know. I don't know why I show up in your feed. I didn't choose to be there, my man. So
maybe stop watching Arnold and liking SWGOH videos, because that's probably why we popped up. Not that you should stop watching Arnold, just I'm pretty sure that's why we popped up, is you have a history of interacting with Star Wars or
I didn't do this
Galaxy of
to
Heroes
you.
content.
You did this to you. That's the point, Kane. That's the
Yeah.
takeaway. Depressed Wampa says, had to take a call and I probably missed the answer. Sorry, did you guys say the two good people to put with Rey? Is Barriss okay? Barriss is generically not a poor choice, but for 3 versus 3, you really want high impact, and she isn't feeling like that these days. Obviously, Swolo is going to be the default second. As far as the third, we did talk about Exile Ezra or Nest being reasonable, predictable first week choices that you might put in. You could move Nest almost anywhere. Like, light side certainly, smuggler preferably. Likewise with Exile Ezra, could be good anywhere light side. But as far as making the biggest splash, I feel like with a GL or a GL level team where there's multiple Omicrons involved, something like that, that's kind of my feeling on it.
Also, if you're looking to what to put with Rey in 3v3, go look at a light side datacron from this set. From the newest set. I'm not kidding you. If you aren't sure what to do, like, man, try Kyle Katarn. I don't know. I don't know if it'll be good. Might catch somebody.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, no problem, Vin. Glad you enjoyed it. Good questions. You guys have had good questions. You're making it easy for us when there's actually good questions coming in.
Oh, CT drill. So my plan is to R5 BAM, R3 Revens, EPSK, and Sith Trio, then move on to Jabba is the right approach. I would prioritize Jabba over everything else you listed because of Smuggler's Run 2. Not that anything you listed is a bad thing to work on, but Jabba... Now, if you're working on those other things that you mentioned while you are moving towards Jabba, like you're farming the shards and you're relicking these things while still reserving all of the materials to unlock Jabba, then that is more than reasonable to do. But I would prioritize saving materials to unlock Jabba because he is going to further your roster the fastest. Not that any of your other plans are inherently bad.
All very fair. All right. Yeah, by the way, if you're a relatively young account and you're trying to, build up the right way, there's such a wealth of information that my channel has to offer, but early game stuff and getting yourself set up early game is somewhere where I just don't have a lot of recent experience. I recommend other content creators, and feel free to mention in the chat who you guys like, but I really like Darth Loquitur for early game because he puts you on a path to success. He justifies it. If you guys are like me, it's not enough for me that somebody who is objectively right about the subject, by the way, it's not enough for me that they tell me the right answer. I need to understand the why of it. And Loquitur's here to serve that up. And there may be other content creators that'll help set you on the right path in the early game just as well. But I like Loquitur, so there's a free plug for our man Loquitur.
Yeah, Loquitur is great, but the follow-up he said is that everyone's farm Chrysanthemum is 5-star. I would finish Chrysanthemum, and then I would wrap up your Jabba farm first. Again, just because he's going to give you the highest impact both as a defense team and GAC. You mentioned, I think you said you were GAC Carbonite. So he's going to be just a really good thing to just set there, and there's going to be a lot of people who just absolutely impale themselves on him. But I would definitely... And Smuggler's Run 2 is really going to boost your mod significantly. And that's going to help you much more in the long term.
Hedgehog says, after another season with Galactic Legend Ahsoka, where would you guys rank the 9 GLs? That's a good one. I'll pull up a notepad file for that in a second, but I see you had a second thing you said here. I like Sanjita's F2P account, watching how he's playing through that. I haven't watched that, but he is pretty serious about his play, so I can appreciate that there's something.
Yeah, smart guy.
Something worth taking home from that, yeah. CT Drill says, I'm top 20 in fleet with Executus, thus the reason for BAM. Makes sense. Yep, got to have that Executor fleet.
Yeah.
Popping.
Then I would probably... Then yeah, if that's the case, then I would prioritize... Like, the problem is that BAM at R5 is like... How do I say this? He's not that good. Like, if you're going to push Bam, like, you want to R7 him or 8 him. That ship does so much damage on that fleet that I feel like R5 just isn't good enough. Especially once people start getting Leviathans. Then it's like not even close to good enough.
It's fair. Okay, let's... I said I'd open up that notepad file. Alright, so let me open up a brand new tab, blow up the size. So, okay, JMK, JML, SLKR, Lord Vader, Ahsoka Tano, Leia, Jabba, who am I forgetting? C, that's what? That's 8. Who's the 9th? Who am I missing? Rey. Is that everybody?
You get 9?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, okay. So what do you think? Where you want to rank them? See them here on screen for me, right? We can move them around.
Yeah. I think number 1 is SOK. I think it's hard. I think an argument to be number 1 and then got a lifter. So I think it's pretty easy to put SOK number 1.
Okay. Who's next?
Probably JMK.
Okay, that's already there.
Infinite utility, right? It's just he has stood the test of time.
I think
those
fair.
are the number 1 and 2 with a bullet. People can blame me in the comments for that, but I think number 1 and 2 with a bullet are SOK and JMK. I think then we're getting to the second tier of GLs, which are, and even Ahsoka Tano with her Datacron doesn't feel as strong as those two.
Okay.
If we take away the Datacron, I'd probably put Leia and Lord Vader 3rd and 4th, probably in that order.
This is everything considered. So Slacker,
if we're
JMK.
considering Datacron, then I would put Ahsoka Tano in 3rd, Leia in 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Lord Vader in 5th.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably Jabba in 6th.
Wow.
I just don't see, like, the problem with Jabba is that Jabba has some of the most consistent off counters.
Okay.
And then Rey, and then C, and then JML's doo-doo.
Rey, then C, then JML. Man. Okay. Wow.
Just for clarification, I based this off of TW and GAC ability paired with how strong the comp is at its peak, and then how weak of a comp can you get away with, right, to do its job, and then how good are they with the current Datacrons. Like, Rey right now is, like, not particular, and again, this is assuming you have every GL, because if you have Ahsoka, you have Ezra there. So we're assuming this is Rey without Ezra.
Are we? Oh, yeah, Rey without Ezra, yes. But so somebody's asking in the chat here, Ryrock's asking, are we talking about them with a lifter or just them by themselves? I would say in their latest and greatest form. Like, when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about them come as you are, come as you would have them, whatever form you think is, however you would best use them. That doesn't necessarily require crippling another, right? Because, of course, you can put your Exile Ezra in with your Rey as a general rule, but I wouldn't use that as part of ranking them, right? I mean, I wouldn't do that. So that said,
basically what I did is I took their core, which is, like, for example, SLK, Dre, Hux, Tank, +1.
Yeah.
I think that +1, no matter which one you use, is probably better than JMK, Cat, GK, Snips +1.
Yeah.
Ahsoka Tano is basically a set team right now. Leia is Leia Drogon R2 +2. Lord Vader is Lord Vader Royal Guard Maul +2. Jabba is Jabba Boosh Chrysanthemum +2. Rey is Rey Ben plus the 3 best light side characters you aren't using other places. C and JML, both at their very peak, struggle to beat other GLs. Because the very best C team is C Bane. And, like, okay, I'm not even sold that that's, like, the best GL.
Fair. Yeah, so somebody was asking here. Yeah, Livid asks, is this for overall valued or just for PvP? Because Java gets bumped way up with the Smuggler's Run too, and that's a fine question. Somebody else is asking that as well.
Oh,
This is
so I
considering
evaluate
only
them
PvP modes.
sorry.
This is only
I
talking Grand Arena and TW.
Oh no. So I value characters in this order: GAC, TW, Conquest, TB. The reason being is TB has the lowest rewards for the effort, and then Conquest. Is this team good in Conquest? The answer is just yes. How good are you in Conquest depends on whatever. Some of it is discs or whatever, but yeah, if you need to win a fight in Conquest, how good at these GLs are just hitting the auto button and you win the fight. Less relevant nowadays now that you can sim Datacron nodes. So that's why those two are weighed really low. And then in PvP, they matter so much more with their mods, comps, etc. And that's how I weigh them personally. I weighed them in every game mode. I think Java being where it is. Now, if we're talking about the value of acquiring a GL, Java's higher, right? So when you're prioritizing which GL you should go for first, you're not always getting the best GL. JMK you shouldn't get till you get Cat. But that doesn't mean that he isn't good. You just tell new players not to prioritize it. Right? Like that, I just want to be clear that isn't really factoring into where I ranked them.
Fair. Before, I don't want to cut you off, but hey, Mole Pills just showed up and dropped 1K biddies, man. Thank you so much. He says, hey, it's the Mad Hatter and the Ginger Santa, a.k.a., I'm just embellishing here, a.k.a. Dr. Robotnik. But yes, it's Dagger and I, we finally, coerced him on camera. So here we are. We made it.
Yeah, having your green screen available made it a lot easier to coerce me onto camera.
Fair. See, I just don't care.
You can't see all the dumb shit behind me.
Yeah, see, I don't care if you see my dumb shit. So.
Yeah, I don't care if you see my dumb shit, but the other people in my house care if you see my dumb shit.
I think that's a fair perspective. I think that's fair. Hedgehog is saying, if we are including the current Crons, are we including the Magma Cron just crushing Ahsoka Tano? No, I think we're giving a pretty pure evaluation of the GLs, right? It's just them as they are, with their lifters and all, assuming all else is equal. There will always be Datacron metas fluctuating, coming and going, so assuming all else is equal, how do we rank them? And yeah, this is what we came up with here on screen.
Yeah, because in the current Kron set, Fulcrum is on Ahsoka. So, yeah, I don't... Magma's not beating Hera plus Ahsoka. Fulcrum on Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I didn't really value that all that high. Because, yeah, Datacron's beating it, but it can be blocked out equally by a Datacron.
Yeah, it's fair. All right.
Yeah, exactly, Vin. But that's why I weighed GAC the highest. Right? I gave you the order in which I weighed the game modes. And where their usefulness is. TB is, again, lowest because the gap in rewards is the lowest. You getting like 30 stars and you getting 45 stars, it's like congratulations on your like 300 crystals and like maybe a full piece of gear that you don't really need. And then, yeah, Conquest, the value there is minimal, but it exists. But yeah. SOK is probably one of the best defensive GLs right now. It also, before it got Dre, was beating every GL in the game. So it's hard to bump him from the number one spot. Oh yeah, Ezra's better than Ahsoka and Kat's better than JMK. I think most people would agree with that.
Ryrock asks, curious about my ranking Tassenix. Yeah, hold on, let me check something real quick. My last match of the season...
Ezra is also probably a top 5 character in the game. Just gonna be honest.
Yeah, Ezra is a ridiculous character. That is true.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me see if this still opens. Okay. I think I finished the end of last season rank 13. So, yeah, rank 13. So, we'll see how many... There's always a handful of those Erodiums that pop in. You know what I'm saying? So, it's complicated. it's complicated. I don't know that I'm pretty confident I won't be in the top 20. It'll be lucky if I'm in the top 40, really. So that's where we are.
Yeah, I mean, not to continue litigating this, but Leia's ceiling has a ceiling on both offense and defense that is much lower, in my opinion, than SOKR's. She does, however, benefit from having one of the highest floors. Like, I don't think you could put in a season where Leia was actively bad, she would be no lower than 6th. Right? Because at her very floor, she is still better as a team than most other GLs. But yeah, she's not touching the current GLs right now. Honestly, Jabba could be a little higher, but I just don't expect Embo to be that strong in GAC. And TW, like has been pointed out, is only 2 days a week. You only have 2 of them a week every other week. Mm-hmm. So I weigh TW in a little bit higher, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. That's my take. I don't know if what do you call it? Tass, do you have any real issues with this, or would you move anything around?
No, because everything, as long as we're restricting the domain of the discussion to PvP modes, to Grand Arena and TW, which I think we'd all agree is, what most people are tuning into this channel for would be for Grand Arena. And I mean, certainly what we're talking about is PvP related content generally. Considering that, no, I don't mind this list. But yeah, if we have to consider the whole game, then it does need to get moved around. Jabba needs to be way higher on this list.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think Leia is at her best probably like 2nd or 3rd, and at her worst 6th.
I don't mind her being middle, slightly north of middle in this pack. I'm cool with it. I don't mind.
Yeah. I think the problem right now with SLKR is that he just got a lifter and was already probably the best, obviously bad banners, not trying to argue banners, but was just an absolute assassin on offense. Like, what couldn't he beat was like the real question. And now you give him something that gives him banners back and makes him a meta defense, when I feel like there was already an argument to whether or not he was 1A or 1B as the best GL in the game. Mm-hmm. So I can understand pushback on everything that's not SOK and JMK.
Fantastic. Depressed Wampa, really appreciate this, man. He says, I really like this discussion. Learning from high-end players is helpful. I'm really glad you appreciate that, because it's a pleasure to have, Dagger here on the show. And yeah, this is fun. I'm enjoying myself.
My video went out on YouTube. Oh no, it's back.
I fixed it. Yeah, that was my bad. I was looking off screen. I forget that I can't do that when I have the thing dialed in the way I do for you. So
I will give you a peek into the in-between episode coming up, where I am going to explain to everyone why Cad Bane is better than Mob Enforcer in depth.
All right, he's ready. He's ready to fight us all about it. No one else is willing to get on this soapbox and stump for Cad.
No, and it's not even Cad that I'm stumping for. It's every single time we get a assist with 50% more damage, it's meta. And Mob Enforcer only assists Jabba and doesn't do a whole lot of damage. And I feel like it's just going to be underwhelming. Now, I feel like the best level 9 is still going to be Embo. But I just don't see a real argument for why Mob Enforcer is better than Cad as a level 9. But I do think that Embo's going to be best. Especially in TW. Like, in TW, it won't be close. In GAC, I think it'll be a little closer. But just getting to play with that Kron, like, in Arena, he starts slapping after, like, 3 attacks, because he attacks twice. Right? So that stacks way faster than I thought it would. Right? He goes, poke, poke, now I'm hitting you for 50k. Poke, poke, now it's 100k, and you're like, oh. Yeah, Embo's, like, actually deleting people against, like, Leia and Ahsoka.
Fair.
So, and that's an Arena, mind you. So, like, no real Omis are turned on.
Fair.
But I was definitely underestimating how good that Embo one was going to be.
Yeah, the Embo. Embo's a real slapper, for sure. By the way, let me see here. Hold on. Oh, yeah. Mole Pill says, if you want to know what Slacker can't beat, just watch an old Heinze stream. Yeah, man, I miss him. All you guys reflecting back on Heinze. Good times. I miss him. If you want to know, though, last I saw, he's doing real well. Last picture I saw him post on his Discord, he looks like he's dropped a bunch of weight. He's just happy where he's at in life. So don't feel too bad for him. Wish him well on the other side, because he's doing all right, and we wish him the best.
All I'm going to say is every time you talk to him, remind him he has baby teeth. He'll be
That's
happier
right.
for it.
That's right. That's our man with the baby.
He may be down to like 205. Like, he's skinny as fuck now. He is super skinny and is living his best semi-retired life,
Good for
spending
him.
time with his family. So we must remind him about his baby teeth just to make sure that he doesn't get too big.
Ooh.
Because now that he's lost all the weight, his head can really get bigger.
Holy shit.
Also, you're getting absolutely annihilated.
Yeah, like it's like you guys are allowed to let me take turns. You know that, right?
No, Vin, I'm saying that there's going to be an actual debate on the in-between. Because we're going to bring up some of the other stuff. I made my case for CAD. I made my briefcase for CAD. Briefcase. I made my briefcase for CAD on the plotting and scheming. We will have an actual discussion on the in-between.
That's
And
right.
I, for one,
He's
am
willing to
excited
fight us.
have that.
He's willing to fight us about it.
Oh, yeah, on camera. Like,
the
dicks
bitter
out.
end.
Like, we're fighting.
To the bitter end. Pulling the what is it? Pulling the A shirt over his head, chugging the can of Natty Light, crushing it on his forehead, and challenging us in the fashion of ancient yore.
The biggest difference between then and now, is that no matter what argument I make for CAD being better than Mob Enforcer, Embo's still the best one.
There's truth.
I was willing to go to, like, if you caught me on the last plotting and scheming, I was willing to go to bat that it was better than Embo. That I used Embo once in arena, and I'm like, oh, this is good. I used it the second time in arena, I'm like, this is really good. And then I took it a third time, I'm like, oh my god, this is dumb.
Yep.
So, yeah, I will eat my just desserts on the Embocron for sure.
Guys,
I did not think that was going to be as good as it was. I forgot all about the mastery scaling on that team.
Yeah. It is kind of extreme. Guys, I'm going to take a quick break here. I'll run this battle here in the background, but we'll take a quick break and be right back and keep the show running. So keep your questions coming in the chat. We'll attend to them. And when we come back, guys, I have a special little gift, a little bonus to throw your way when I get back. So we'll see you in just a moment.
Yeah. I also am going to take a quick piss. I was muting myself because I, was also telling you. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. We're coming back. We've got Dagger on. Let me get his camera back. And we're back. All right. Is that Monty Python on in the background, says JJ? No, it's a playlist I like. But not that. All right. So, where were we? I like how you said you would leave battle in the background. I did say that, and then I just went ahead and did nothing of the kind. You are right to out me as a liar, JJ. I can stand to be held to account, and I had it coming.
In his defense, he never said he would actually hit the auto button. He just said he'd leave the battle in the background, which he did in fact do. So by technicality, he did not lie. He just did not meet your specific expectations.
All right.
There, I got you back, ma'am.
All right, I'll take it. I think the lesson that we learned is Tass is always right. Hashtag. So we'll take that. There you go. What's up, Tass? Says Vero Doom. What's going on, man?
When are ads over? Like 10 seconds? Okay. Yeah, so then one of the other things, too, about mods is not only have the priorities changed over the last half a year or year, I would argue the priorities changed reasonably well before that. It's just a lot of people didn't really... I don't know if that's a... I just saw Vero's comment, and I don't know if I should be offended or not. But,
yes, I like it.
But I'm going to default to saying eat shit and thank you.
So, Vin, you were asking secondaries. You're thinking, what secondaries do I think are...
He had a previous question I had started answering really quick. Sorry.
Yeah.
I would definitely prioritize having at least 2 percentages on a mod. But I would more prioritize synergistic mods than I would mods that are speed plus 3 percentages. For example, if you have an offense mod that has, crit chance and flat offense and speed, that's still reasonable, right? The only time I would prioritize extra percentage stats is if I was looking at tenacity or potency mods, because if they already have potency, if your potency mod already has speed and potency, you are looking for things like percent health, percent protection, percent offense to kind of direct where you're going to place the mod. So I would definitely prioritize percents when I'm looking at generic mods, but I do absolutely still prioritize synergistic mods. Now, speed set mods are a little bit different because you're just keeping things that are fast with, like, preferably good secondaries, like percentage set. And when I say, I shouldn't say percentage. You're looking for good rolls on your speed mods, right? For not just the speed set, not just the speed stat, but like the other stats too. And you can kind of fit them in where they go as long as they're just good quality mods. But I don't think you should over prioritize percent. You should just prioritize mods that make sense. Also, stop tabbing out, Tass. You fuck up my thing. Tass, what are you doing?
I'll fuck up your thing anytime. Yeah, no, I was responding to Pill's DM me, man. Like, he dropped a ton of weight and looked amazing in this Obi-Wan Kenobi cosplay. Anyway, sorry, continue. I was still listening.
When you started typing to him, it cut my video out.
Yeah, I know it did. That's a fault with the system here. I mean, there are...
But yeah, I don't know if you have anything to add to what I said about the prioritizing on modding, but let's start. I just wanted to do them in order, top down.
No, and I'm glad you interpreted the question that way. I thought he was talking about datacrons, but yeah, I think your read's generally fair. Nothing outrageous in that.
Yeah, then the second question was about datacrons. He's like, now that I have a lot of good crons, I noticed that this really is unnecessary. You can only roll 2 of your secondaries past 5 times. You really need speed, or at least at max 2. So if you're talking about datacrons, that's just an odd question, because if you're talking about mods, you can only roll things 5 times each. So that's why I would prioritize mods that have synergy with themselves, because that way you won't really have a bad stat that rolls.
Yeah.
When it comes to Datacrons, you also don't want to reroll. I would only reroll level 9s you plan on using on your most important teams.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what you're referring to, because you said you have a lot of good crons.
But I did.
And then
I just saw what you were referring to. What you answered to him a minute ago about the general modding question that you were responding to. Yeah, yeah. What Dagger was saying. I think when you're talking about relic characters, percent mods take precedence, and then speed is nice to have with any combination you're going for in general. But like Dagger and I covered in the how-to mod videos that are up on my YouTube channel. If you're talking about a speed mod, then you need to be demanding of speed. Similar to what Dagger was just saying about you're looking for stacking like sets within a stat type. You're wanting tenacity secondaries on your tenacity mods, defense on your defense mods, offense on your offense mods, and so forth. So, yeah, that's a good one. Got a good question here from Hedgehog with the Switch. If you could pick one game mode to rework, what would it be and what would you do? Any rewards you want within reason. Look, the rewards, I don't hate the rewards in any of the things that I do. Because I'm in this game for the long haul, so I recognize that it's not it doesn't bother me. It's not stressing me out. I know Dagger has a different opinion, and I'm not here to say he's wrong. I'm just saying that isn't what keeps me up about this game. If I could I'll let Dagger answer at length after me here. But as far as I'm concerned, my pain point is TW. It's really not interesting to me, and I'm not the biggest TW fan to begin with. So I really feel for the people that are big TW fans, and they basically say the same thing, that they really wish it would get heavily reworked because it's not entertaining for them, and of course it's very stressful to manage when you have you have a lot of board that you need to clear within 24 hours of an attack phase, and they could extend that out to even 36 hours, and it would be so much less painful for the people that run it. I have a lot of sympathy for them. But just from an entertainment point of view, TW doesn't really do it for me. I think a lot of Grand Arena players would say Grand Arena needs to rework, but I still find enough to keep it interesting and keep myself entertained every season. That might have a lot more to do with enjoying scouting than it does, wanting to be overly impressed by any particular Datacron meta. So, all right, what you got, Dagger?
Well, I'll first touch on what you said about GAC, where I think GAC does need a rework, but not as desperately as TW. The rewards in GAC are still really good, like the crystals. So while it does need a rework in the gameplay, the rewards still make it feel worth it. Now, what you were saying about TW, and I mean, to a certain degree, like it's true of TB has some of the worst rewards in the entire game. So you could just axe that. I would prefer they just got rid of TB instead of reworking it, personally. But I mean, to give you a genuine answer, I think TW probably needs the biggest overhaul because it is a guild-wide event that guilds don't prioritize. And if you're creating a event or a game mode for guilds to interact with, and guilds actively don't interact with it to the max capacity that they can, i.e. not going in full, not really. And I'm not saying every guild has to go in full and have prescribed counters and have uniform modding, right? I'm just saying there are a lot of people who just don't do TW. They just don't join it. They don't care about it. And they need to do something to make people care about it. And a lot of that has to do with rewards. If you made the rewards worth it, people would join. Now, the balance becomes, how do you balance the rewards for winning and losing? Because the rewards shouldn't be... if you create a gap that's too wide, people are more incentivized to cheat, etc. Or they're less incentivized to try in wars that they have a gap in. Now, I don't know how you reward it per se, but I would like to see some kind of personal reward track where they start giving something like Omis or something like that, but only if you set. Just like, let's say, for example, you have to set 10 teams on defense per war and you get a reward. And let's say you have to attack 10 times on offense to get a reward, right? Reward people for engaging with the game mode, not necessarily for winning or losing the war, if that makes sense. So, like, for example, if you set 10 defenses and you attack 10 times and you do that 4 times over the course of a season, right, or a era, whatever they call the battle pass, right? If you do that over the course of the battle pass, you get 5 Omicron materials. That would incentivize people to set defenses and attack in TW. And that's what I think they need to do. They need to actually incentivize people to participate in the game mode. Because you could rework the way it is any way you want. People still won't want to engage. The gap between winning and losing will always be too wide because they can't offer too many rewards or create too wide of a gap because of cheating. And they just don't want to have that hassle. So with that being the case, they're going to have to do some individual rewarding for that. And that's what I want to see in TW. And I also would like to see them revamp the whole thing, but I also understand that it is unlikely that they do give it the overhaul it deserves, and it'll more just be like a tweak. Right? So that would be my solution to TW is reward engagement. They already reward engagement in TB through special missions. Right? They give you your guild rewards for special missions. So they already promote engagement there. I would like to see them promote the engagement of TW so that if you don't join, you actively lose out on battle pass currency. You lose out on the ability to get like they're every week have a thing where every TB week you have to complete so many special missions. Every week you have a thing where you have to do so many TW attacks. Maybe not 10. 10 might be aggressive. Make it 5. Set 5 teams, attack 5 times. Just make people engage to get the rewards. And I think that's the easiest way to make that a viable game mode. Because right now it's just a dead game mode because the gauntlet at the top end doesn't exist. The second biggest guild just doesn't try in TW versus other big guilds. The 3 guilds that do try against every guild, or 3 of the 4 guilds that try against every guild, are in the same alliance. Like, DW is just a dead game mode right now. And it's sad because I spent 4 to 5 years of my life in TW rooms at the top end trying to kick the shit out of my friends, basically. So, I agree with Tass. TW is the one most in need of something, anything, literally fucking anything. Thoughts?
Yeah, very much agree. Whatever tweaks could be desirable for Grand Arena, TW needs a lot of help. I like the ideas you came up with. I don't really... Because I'm not the biggest fan of the mode in general, I don't presume to say what the solution should be. And so I like... None of the ideas that you just mentioned are offensive to me. So... I'd be into it.
Yeah. I just want people to feel like they get something from engaging in TW. And I know a lot of people are like, I don't need Zetas, so why would I care?
Yeah. Oh my god.
And I think that's...
We made it.
Yeah. And that's the thing, Vin. Like, I'm not even upset about the rewards from TW as much as I am irritated in the lack of people who want to engage. Yeah, because there are literally guilds at the top end who, when they fight other guilds at the top end, will set everything on defense and not attack once.
Yeah, but Vin said it best here a second ago. He said, we're only playing it for joy, Brains. And that's right. That's true. Like, yeah. Pills, resubscribe for 12 months, a full year. Thank you so much, my man. Appreciate it. And yeah, man, great pictures. Glad to see you. You transformed your life. You said you dropped 150 pounds. You're looking amazing, dude. Looking dapper. Gotta say. All right. Baltar, you retired because of TW and TV. I mean, it's a lot of work. 2 accounts doing anything is a lot of work. If you're trying to be competitive in one of those TW guilds, let alone both, not for me, man. Not for me. I respect that. Okay, guys, before I forget, we'll continue the chat here, but I wanted to share something with you. So, as you probably saw if you were here at the start of the stream, and if you're already on my Discord, I guess, here, let me throw out the link for my Discord if you're not already part of my Discord community. But I did announce that, a lot of you have been pestering me for quite some time to create merchandise. I used to have merch way back when, fulfilled through Patreon, but they cut that off years ago, and I just never replaced it. And I've just had enough, a sufficient mass of pressure that I went ahead and set up a shop. So let's see if this works again. Here's merch. Here's the link to the merch page. But here's the extra little sweetener for you guys. I want to share with you a 10% promotional discount code. Where is that? Yeah, that's what it is. I'm going to type it in the chat.
I showed the hoodie again in the chat.
The code is THX, folks. Thanks, folks. Thank you. You know, you encouraged me to set it up.
That is way better than your first two choices.
Hey, you know what? I'm glad you like that better, because I had some fairly off-color ideas that I shared with Dagger earlier, and yes, I did walk back from that. But yeah, set up the new site, and you know, what the hell? That code's going to be good for a month, so anyone here on the stream, you're welcome to use it. If you want to share it with somebody that you think might like it, feel free to do so. But that'll be running around for the first month of the shop here. And yeah, it's just a little sweetener, and you know, thank you guys for your interest. Appreciate all that. All right.
And if you guys have ever bought anything from YouTube, I believe he's using the same distributor as the other YouTubers. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think it's at least the same one that Zareth uses. I can't speak for who all else.
Okay. Yeah, so I have purchased things from people on YouTube, and they are reasonably good quality. I shouldn't say reasonably. They're good quality.
Well,
So-
I've ordered some samples for myself, and I've also got, for everybody in the plotting and scheming crew, Dagger included, they each get an item on me. So we all haven't gotten to see the items yet in person, but it all looks to be in order. Look at the site for yourself. It all looks like some decent stuff. I hand-picked the items, if I do say so myself, and I sized the logo and placed everything and chose the colors that are available. So hopefully you guys like it. But hey, if there's feedback about things that you want to see on the shop that are not there, of course there's the suggestion box channel on my Discord, or you can always DM me. But I'll listen.
Sorry.
What was that?
I said the suggestion box. I said, you mean the trash
The
can?
trash can. You know what? I should actually get a trash can on the shop with your face on it. That's
Also, Twitch is having commercials. So for the YouTube people, I just want everyone on YouTube to know that Tass has socks you can get. And he absolutely wants you to take as many pictures of your feet as you can in those socks. For no real reason. He wouldn't give me the real reason, but he had one of his hands down his pants when he was talking about it. So, we'll see.
Of all of the things that you could have said, it had to be that. No. Falsehood. Disgusting falsehood. Vile falsehood.
You're the one who put socks on your store.
Yeah, that was a suggestion to me. I did it at somebody's recommendation, man. I'm a man of the people and all that, whatnot. Molepill says, Tassenix branded butt plug? Stopped the banner leak.
That is fantastic.
I mean, at least there could... You know what? If I'm still doing this as I get older, there can be a brand of adult diapers. You know, we'll have that incontinence protection against shitting myself on attack. So I see where you're going with that. It works. It does work. I'm into it.
I appreciate that Pills has my back. Yeah, for the 19 watching on YouTube, you now know the real reason why Tass has socks on his store. Also,
I regret everything.
Now that Twitch is back, I just want to also say, I had a really weird request from Tass asking me to send him some of the socks back after I buy them.
No.
After I did a specific thing that he requested.
No. No. No.
You're the one who put socks on your fucking store.
Again, it was the result of a survey. I
Oh,
regret everything. I regret everything. I might delete it before tomorrow. You won't know. You won't know. Big deal.
uh,
Twitch just asked, "Are you sure you want to send that?" Yeah, yeah. Oberong says, "Tass, OnlyFans when?" Yeah, man. If I lose it all and I just lose my job and just lose everything, OnlyFans will be there for me. I expect Dagger would be there first in line requesting feet things. This is high on his list this evening.
no. I actually am here for the butthole pics.
Fair. That will be an offering on OnlyFans. You can't really
Here-
call yourself an
Because here's the
OnlyFans
thing. Here's
content
the thing.
creator if you don't
If
sell
you just
butthole photos. I'm just saying.
if you just get a picture of a butthole, you can just pretend it can be anybody. You can just pretend it's not a guy.
That's
You know
science.
what I mean?
That's science right there, and I don't care who you are. Completely fair. No, I'm not reading that, Pills. It's so gross. I'm not doing that. It's a horrible
Tassenix
thought.
asked Dagger to mail back the socks after a workout, and like a Heinz merch shipment, they may never see the post.
Disgusting. What about Tassen's Kickstarter? What's my product? What's my product I'll say that I need like $1,000 and you guys can pledge like $1 million to it, and then I'll disappear to an island somewhere and then not deliver the product. That's the Kickstarter way, right? So we have to. So the first step on that journey, I think we would all agree, is we have to come up with the product that I'm gonna tell you that I'm gonna make, and essential part of the Kickstarter life cycle.
Honestly, the PNS is the thing that has been kickstarted, but we encourage you all to send us pictures of your man. You should have started the PNS merchandise, because then you could say, "Remember to send us pictures of you and your PNS."
No, no. What are you talking about? Then it becomes a dick pic Discord. What are you talking about? Shut up.
You did all of this.
No, no. There is no such Dropbox.
Oh,
This
oh.
is
Just
this is
you
the
even
forbidden.
told us you're going to release plotting and scheming merch, which means you're going to release PNS merch.
I can't.
I just hope you have little top hats for the heads, little purple ones like that with a little feather on the side.
Jeez. Vero asks an actual SWGOH question. Have you thought about 3 versus 3 teams and metas? Was kind of hoping to hear some of that in plotting and scheming today. Well, if you're talking about the most recent episode, that was wrapping up the 5 vs 5 season. We're actually recording the 3 versus 3 preview episode here on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. We do have a special guest. I'm free to break the information now to you guys. We do have solo bass. I talked to him here the other day on stream when we were still in the Grand Arena season, and he agreed to it. So I checked with him. He's still down. We got it booked. We're going to have him as our special guest. So we will be talking about our ideas for 3 versus 3. Rest assured, that will be coming next week. My patrons will be seeing that Tuesday night within hours of us finishing the recording, and for all of my other followers on YouTube, Friday morning, 8 a.m. It will be there.
It should be up in time for defense setting.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah. Good. I'm glad you're looking forward to it, Vero. Awesome stuff. All right, where was I? What's the next one of these that I'm doing? I still can do a whole bunch, right? Yeah. Do I have to do a stupid... No, I don't have to do a stupid Jedi Cal thing, so I can just do Jedi here. Good talk. Keep the questions coming, folks. Not about the OnlyFans. It's not happening. Not yet. In time, maybe. Maybe. You'll have to content yourself with the Patreon and the merch and all that.
And if you ever want,
Oh my God!
if you're a sports fan and you ever want to have a little bit of entertainment, House of Highlights has a series they've been doing recently, which is similar to what Jubilee does with politics, but this is one Steph fan versus 10 Steph haters. It's a nice little twist on it for sports fans that I've been really enjoying their series. So I know it's not completely unrelated to this, but I've been listening to them podcast style for the last few weeks, and it's been a lot of fun.
Is this accurate? Is this up to date?
I also feel like I killed the entire chat with my trolling.
Maybe you did, you bastard. I don't know.
I mean, it's midnight your time, and it's pushing 11 my time, so I figured I would, since we're at the after dark portion of the show, I figured I'd let a few of the things I had in the chamber loose.
You're good, buddy. You're good. I think, yeah, I'm just trying to make sure that I can see all the chats. Okay, wow, so we got blown out on that one. That was bad. What are the best 20 Relic 9s for ROTE, so for TV?
I will give you the answer. Whatever R9s you have on your roster currently, and whatever R9s your guild asks you to do for platoons.
I wouldn't overthink it. That sounds like a painful thing to overthink.
Yeah, like that is legitimately like the only answer I think you should. There probably is an objective answer, but that is the answer I will give anyone who asks. TB is not worth investing in for your roster, unless your guild requests you do so. But I wouldn't worry too much about it. The gap between like 30 stars and 45 stars, go look in game right now. Go look at the difference between 30 and 45 stars. And you tell me what the difference is. For example, my guild, our floor is 45, our ceiling is 48. So if we do nothing, we basically get 45 stars. If we do everything, we get 48. That gap is virtually nothing.
Yes, why does Dagger dislike the TB rewards so much? Dagger is a famously happy sword, so this is a reasonable question. Ahem, Dagger. Ahem.
One sec. I've been having a relatively sensitive conversation, so sorry. They had more attention than you did.
You son of a
you'll
bitch.
keep somebody ask why I don't like TB?
Yes. Knowing that you would otherwise pledge your heart and soul to it.
So the biggest and easiest reason is just the gap in rewards has never really been worth trying. Right? So like, you know how people feel about TW, about how like, oh, it's not really worth it if you win or lose. The difference between 5 droid brains and 1 droid brains is huge in the grand scheme of things. Like when you look at it in a vacuum, I should say. Maybe not the grand scheme of things. In the vacuum, like if you win 2 and lose 2, that's 12 droid brains. If you win all 4, that's 20. Like that's functionally an R9 almost every 2 months that you're missing out on by not being good at TW. If you're not good at TB, your guild's size contributes to the floor of how many rewards you'll get. So like I said, for example, my guild's floor is 45 stars. My guild ceiling is 48. Go look at what the gap of that is. You're being rewarded for guild size. The return on investment is absolutely ridiculous for what they ask you to do versus what they give you. Because so much of it is just related to guild size. That's why I don't like TB. That and this TB is like 2.5 years old, and they've only given us more missions, haven't given us a sim button for anything, and they just make it more tedious.
It's true.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, and that's just this TB. I have other issues about the old TBs too, but those aren't really worth the effort. Yeah, Vero kind of nailed it. The problem with TW is everyone thinks the difference between winning and losing is nothing, except when you don't want to wail on Mark III reroll mats for Datacrons. Yeah, there's absolutely like real rewards. There's a real reward gap in TW. You can argue the rewards aren't enough, but there's a real gap between winning and losing. Just for fun, go look at the difference between 45 and 48 stars in TB. Like, that's the gap my guild has versus doing nothing versus doing everything. Like, well, why would I put the effort in at that point?
Oh, geez.
I mean,
this is a good question here from Ruth Vader Ginsburg. For the for the people in the Gauntlet who actually like TW, why do you guys still exist in those guilds? The Gauntlet system has systemically ruined TW. The consolidation of power combined with the persistence of accounts that should have died with retirements perpetuate the slow death of TW and bigger guilds in this game. Bigger guilds don't want to play when they have no chance, and the existence of the top TW guilds discourages bigger guilds to full join, which has cascading problems for all guilds. I mean, I'll let Dagger answer after me here. I'll be brief, just to say that as far as why I'm in it, I'm a rewards-motivated individual. It's just for an account my size, the winningest guild that I can be in is, as it so happens, like the best TW guild in the world, and it's my very great privilege to be here. So I, enjoy that, and I'm here for the rewards. As far as the effect on the larger game, this is a design problem that's years and years known to CG, and if they're satisfied with this and they've seen fit to make no further adjustments since that last TW update where they expanded the board years ago now, then they're satisfied with the working state of the game, and we have to accept that. We don't have to like it, and we very clearly don't have to like it, because if they were going to be sensitive to us not liking it, then there might have been some change in these intervening years. But yeah, I would sooner expect them to introduce a new mode entirely to TW than for them to honestly, comprehensively rework it. Could be wrong, but yeah, I guess to answer that latter part about what do I think about its effects cascading down on the game? The short answer is, I don't really think about it, but I also don't think it's my burden to fix in why I should stay or not, why I should be or not be in a Gauntlet level guild. That's the designer's burden. I'm just a player at the end of the day. All right, all to you, Dagger.
Yeah, I mean, this is a long question, so I'll take it piece by piece. And I just to be clear, I don't really disagree with a lot of the things you're saying. I'm in a top TW guild because of what's called systemic knowledge. You get the latest and greatest information, usually before or at the same time as the majority. So if you weren't in such a guild, you would be one of the people asking people like myself what to use versus X or Y. Right? So that's one of the reasons I stay. The other reason is, like Tass said, I'm pretty rewards oriented, so more rewards is better than less rewards. And being in the guild that wins the second most TWs while getting the best TB rewards, etc., is probably the best. Is probably good enough for me. The Gauntlet used to be extremely healthy. The Gauntlet didn't start really becoming like a toxic, unnecessary thing until the expansion of TW, which is what killed competitiveness from smaller guilds. Smaller guilds had the ability to compete back when it was back when the boards were smaller. So having larger boards, the rework to TW is what actually exacerbated the issues with the Gauntlet. But to what Tass said, they are absolutely intentional, because if they were not, they would have fixed them. And if they aren't intentional, they are at least perfectly okay with them existing again, or they would have fixed them. And if they were not okay with either one and they haven't fixed it, that would be more problematic. The consolidation of power aspect is undeniably no notes. The fact that there are accounts that should have died a long time. It is. Sorry, what?
No, I was just cutting in to say it is toxic. It is. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with our commenter here.
Yeah. So the consolidation of power one, where they're talking, yes, there are some there are some accounts that absolutely should have died due to lack of pilot engagement. But lots of those guilds don't want to give up on big accounts, so they have people playing multiple accounts, which then means that there's lots of accounts that slack a little bit. There's a lot of big accounts without good mods. Like, I agree. No notes. The consolidation of power and the persistence of accounts that should have died with retirements perpetuate the slow death of TW. I 100% agree, no notes. There's like 20, I don't know, maybe 20% of the OG accounts, what we call OG accounts, just should have just gone away and made room for the younger accounts to come up, bolster us, and it would have made room for people to grow in what would be colloquially called the gauntlet. And yeah, bigger guilds, like I mentioned this earlier, there's no incentive to play when you know you're going to get smashed. So that's what I said before. That's why I want there to be an incentive to individuals. That was the reason for my idea behind individual incentive. And the one thing I will say about TW guilds is that the overwhelming majority of TW-focused guilds are also better than their counterparts in every other game mode because they have better datacrons, better mods, etc. Now, that is not true across the board, but I would be willing to bet that is, from my personal experience, very close to true. And I tried to get all that in before the ads hit, but I feel like the last 30 seconds got cut off on Twitch. But to go over to, that's basically my take on it. I think that was a well thought out question, and I don't think he's wrong about most of it. I, however, wouldn't blame people who want to be in competitive focused guilds, because being in a competitive focused guild, in my opinion, it gives you a leg up on most people. And frequently when you're in Kyber 1 or towards the top or whatever, getting information 1 week earlier than other people is the difference between a 1-2 and a 3-0.
Monstrous advantage, yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's why I stay.
Fair.
If you can get any edge whatsoever from being in a guild, you want to be in the guild that will give you the edge. I think everyone would probably agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, Vero said, change in SWGOH is always bittersweet. CG can't win. It's either, I don't like this new thing, or why haven't they made this new yet? Yeah, I'll say this. I mean, I've said this on the show many times before. I think that our community is, at least on a lot of the social media stuff, is whinier than I think it should be for the, the average age of the player of this game, because there's a whole lot about this game that you don't get to control, and you should be okay with that. Like, you don't have to like everything it does, but God, the hate for the things that they do and the things that they don't, the fact that this game is in such a healthier state, like for a long-term future than it was 3-4 years ago, like there is a brilliant future for this game to go on into the indefinite. And the game does have its problems as it does right now, but it is by far and large an amazing product. And I wish our community were not so negative, because it's first of all, it's just embarrassing to read when you read it out on social media. It's like, you can't possibly feel this cheated, this slighted, this deprived of something. Because I could see in their posts, it's like, you're a free-to-play player. What's it to you? If it's bothering you that much, just put it down. You never have to touch this again, and you don't even have a sunk cost fallacy to push up against. So what are we talking about? But yeah. Yeah, when we talk about wanting the rewards, Ginsburg, sorry about that. Yeah, account size. No, I do want the level 9 rerolls, and what I also I want the level 9 materials, like the brains, but I also want the reroll materials for Datacrons. That's basically my incentive for TW.
Yeah, so just to sum up the last part of that, Ruth Vader Ginsburg, I'll just pick up from the consolidation thing. I do absolutely agree that not letting big accounts die when they retire, and the insistence on keeping them around just because of their sheer bulk and investment, did absolutely throttle the ability for newer players to enter the fray at the top end, and absolutely killed a couple of guilds just because they refused to get rid of some of the more stagnant accounts in favor of more active accounts that could grow. And yeah, the bigger guilds absolutely don't want to play when they have no chance to win. Like, no one wants to play when they don't have a chance to win. And that's one of the reasons why I said that I think that I would want the individual reward track as opposed to having more guild rewards. Like, have set 5 defenses, do 5 attacks every war, you get something out of it. Maybe it's 10 a week. That way you only have to join one TW if you want to go all out. I think that's the easiest way to incentivize people to participate in TW. But I absolutely agree with most of what you said. I just cannot pass up the systemic knowledge, because I finish it off by saying the top guilds, or the most competitive guilds, are generally better at every game mode. They generally have information about a week before other people, and that week when you're in GAC is priceless. It means week 1 of every single every single I saw your response there. I'll respond to it shortly. Every single time a new season comes out, if you have the information week 1 before Insight has it, you get a really easy week. So you say it's an awful idea to have a individual reward track, but how many guilds? If you're in a focused TW guild, you're going to get your reward track regardless. If you're not in the TW guild, well, who does the reward track affect? You're not trying to win as much, right? If you're TW focused, it's a lot easier. Like, I'm not saying that it's a perfect thing with the defense and attacks. I'm saying that if you have an individual-based reason with good rewards behind it to win TW fights, or something along those lines, it makes people actually engage. And that's what TW actually needs, is people to engage. And I don't think you can actually increase the guild rewards that much without incentivizing cheating too much. So you can call it an awful idea. That's fine. I mean, it's not it's obviously not the best answer, but I mean, I'll tell you what I tell my kids. If you don't like the answer and you think it's bad, you give me a better idea.
Otherwise, you can go to your room.
Well, I wasn't going to... I don't think it's that harsh. I'm just saying, like, at least I'm out here trying to come up with fixes.
Fair. No, that's fair.
So, yeah, I do take that with respect. I don't think it's the best idea. But I'm also not the idea guy here.
That's fair. Hedgehog asked real quick, would you ever start a new account just to see the beginning of the game again? For my part, no.
No, fuck no.
No. No desire to go back.
Here's the thing. I sometimes romanticize the end of the early part of the game because I remember being happy unlocking things. Yeah, I'm good. That dopamine hit I got the one time is fine.
Yeah.
No, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I have multiple friends who started a few years ago, so pretty much everything I'm saying is from their standpoint, not mine. I don't actually answer a lot of those questions from my own standpoint. My thought on TW is I collect my 5 droid brains 11 out of the 12 times we play, and I move on.
Well, and maybe speaking a little outside of just yourself, but I think that a lot of what you said would be echoed by many of our guildmates, so I don't think that that's entirely an unconventional opinion.
Oh, I was talking about the individual reward structure. That's not my original idea per se. Yeah. It is simply what I am echoing from other people who are, 6 to 8 million and, are struggling to find reasons to join TW outside of reroll materials, basically. Because it turns out you actually get a lot of droid brains just for playing the game now. Between the Pretty event and the Queen Amidala event. So droid brains aren't even a real reason for a lot of these newer accounts to actually join. Because they're already getting an R9 a month just from having these R9 characters. So, yeah, I think it's an interesting conversation to have. It's just hard to have it with the comment section.
Fair.
The back and forth is definitely delayed.
Yeah. Wonder Balin would be good here. We'll find out.
But yeah, basically the point I'm trying to make is I absolutely believe that TW doesn't need as big a rework as, or TW needs something to incentivize people to play it. GAC has crystals, that incentivizes people to play it. TB has, you have to do it or your guild will kick you. That's why you do it. And Conquest has a nice reward of datacrons plus a character. So most people who are dialed in are just going to do that almost regardless. Maybe not to the degree of some of the people at the top end, but yeah, most people are excited for new characters. I am sad that Ray has been, for the most part, a disappointment. Or Dre has been, for the most part, a disappointment.
Speak for yourself. I like her.
I was hoping she would shake the meta up a lot more, and she hasn't really. But that's more of a system of, we have too many teams, so now you just shift a better team over.
Yep.
Right? Like the domino effect was not as severe as I had hoped it would have been.
That's fair.
The team is strong. I'm not trying to say she's bad. I'm just sad. Yeah, one thing I wish that they would do is they would incentivize TW Omicrons more. Because the people I know who have TW Omicrons enjoy TW a lot more.
Fair.
So, yeah, like talking to my friends who are only a few years in, I talked a couple of them into doing a couple of the really good TW Omicrons like Phasma and Embo. And they really like using those teams. And like they cop to the fact that if they had more Omis, they'd probably enjoy TW more. But they can't justify it because, like their guild joins with like 40 out of 50, and they look at the compare, and it's a predeterminate war, right? So there's nothing they can really do at that level. At the 400 mil level, there's nothing you can really do sometimes because the opposing guild is sometimes just like, oh, they have 50 more GLs than us. I guess we lose. And that's been my experience talking to people who are a little bit lower, is that if there were some form of like individual rewards that would make TW, enjoyable-ish. Because that's the biggest reason they don't enjoy TW is that everything's a massacre. Oh, yeah. That last part you said, that just sounds like you have a growing resentment for your guild. I would look for a guild that where the majority of people share your values in the game.
Well, he's also saying, like, if he's part of the leadership core of his guild, and it's like it's difficult to imagine wanting to grow your guild, going from presumably a higher win rate to breaking into the gauntlet and then start suffering the bottom of the gauntlet's win rate. That I can see. Like there's a lot of legitimate criticism here for TW, but I think the criticism rightly lies with the system, with the devs, with the creators of the game. I don't, we're playing, we're doing exactly what they intended for us, right? They intended for us to be spending money so that we would have the toys and there would be a top end of the game. The fact that this doesn't exactly work right especially for not the folks at the very top, but it doesn't even work entirely well for us either, for the reasons that we've discussed. So I have more sympathy for you than I do for me, to be sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the absolute worst thing to happen to TW was the expansion of the board, because it removed any ability for smaller guilds to compete with bigger guilds, basically. Because instead of having more tools to work with, you now have half the tools to work with, and whenever something new comes out, you get absolutely ruined. I understand that sentiment completely, but again, it's like Tess has said several times, it's if CG was not okay with where TW was, they would do something, because they've had this for 2.5 years, almost, maybe 2 years, 4 months. Something like that. We've had this exact system. And before that, they hadn't really changed the previous system like ever, outside of some bonuses here or there. So we're still operating under the almost original series of TW events, just with an expanded board. So, yeah, this absolutely lies at CG's feet, and the fact that they have made little to no effort to fix it is absolutely on their head. And obviously, I'm in a guild where we only really lose like 1.5 wars. We usually have like a test war, then lose to like VDO. That's been our last few cycles. So we go 10-2 every 3 months. I can only speak to you for the people. I'm in a handful of smaller guild communities. So I talk to a lot of smaller accounts about what they look for in this game. Yeah, so Citro, the way that the TW matchmaking works is it takes the number 1 GP guild in the game, and it checks to see who they haven't played yet. And it just goes down the cycle. So they play the number 2 guild, which means the number 3 guild plays the number 4 guild, and so on. And then that keeps going all the way down. Now, if you lose 2 in a row, you get what's called a trench war, which means you get matchmaked down like a tier to give you a better chance at a win. It's called trenching. So that's how matchmaking is done.
With Admiral Trench.
Well, both are, yeah. But yeah, that's how matchmaking works. So yes, they could easily change the matchmaking, but that's what I said. CG is obviously okay, or not super bothered by where TW is at. And it sucks. And I know Tass and I have talked before, I don't know if it's been on stream, but TW's in a bad spot. And it's because it's just, like, whatever. Like, TW just kind of sucks right now. No one's debating that. But yeah, I just think it's the easiest one to fix. That was my whole thing.
Yeah. Ruth says, I very much disagree with you about the problem being at CG's feet, though. Rosters not being sunset with retirements is a massive issue. Some of these guilds should not have existed for as long as they have in the way that they have for this long. I guess with specifically to your point, I don't disagree with that at all. About the accounts that have been perpetuated, I can see why you would say that, and I don't disagree.
I think there are less accounts that you think aren't being sunset. Because I know how many haven't been sunset. I have a very good idea. And I think the number is way lower than you think.
I also don't think it's I don't think it's where the majority of where the problem is, regardless.
Yeah, I would say that the guild we're currently in has 2 accounts that fall into that category. And one of them has a pilot. God, I shouldn't be talking about terms of service. One of them has a pilot who is super motivated. So it's really only one account like that in our guild, the number 1 guild. And I can say that the experience for the other guilds in my alliance are roughly the same. So I think that is a much lower problem, or much smaller problem.
If you're a top 10 GP guild, though, your problem is pulling the best players in the game, too, though, right? I mean, I guess. What percentage of people in the gauntlet
We hit ads, so we can just go over to the YouTube questions if there are any. Oh man, if you have all your TW homies on defense, you are missing out on a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
I remember a plotting and scheming where you guys were worried about she was taking a 6.5 to a 6.5 to a 7. Is that what are you referring to Dre?
I think so, yeah.
Sorry, Vera. What was that referring to? Yeah, the only reason I think that it has been underwhelming is that while she is incredibly strong, and she makes SOK much stronger, the domino effect of moving your teams around in such a way to beat all of the necessary teams, I feel was definitely overestimated by myself. I thought that it would create a much bigger cascade than it actually did. And that's kind of what I'll say to that, I guess, is I thought that there'd be a much bigger domino effect to now you have to use this counter, which means you can't use it here, which means you can't use that here, right? It would create like this cycle of you forcing you to do some things you didn't want to do. And it turns out like it didn't do that. Is Twitch still on ads? Yeah, Twitch is still on ads for about 40 seconds.
No worries, no problems.
Yeah, but every game mod, you're better with more GP, but only TW. My 55 million guild can face 630 guilds that only let 36 members join. Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you're in a focused guild, you're going to be better than the unfocused guilds. Honestly, Vero, the C3PO event is super easy now that we have relics. So.
Yeah, I just want to shout out.
Nisa also trivializes that event. Sorry, what's up, Tess?
Let me just shout out real quick to Wolfman. He says, before I get too drunk and forget to say it later, this open forum with the both of you has been awesome. I'm having fun with this too. I can't speak for Dagger, but I'm enjoying myself. Getting the necessary work done too, so I can enjoy my morning tomorrow watching the Huts Hangout podcast early in the morning. I don't have to burden myself with worrying about that. And then, see, Dagger, if you're up for zombies in the morning, I'd actually not be complicated by all of this.
That's fair. So, Ginsburg, what percent of people in the Gauntlet have their own account they started? I would say right around 70%. I mean, I'd have to go through individually and look, but the vast majority of people have their, I should say vast. The majority of people have their original account. And when you ask, and that's also just an odd question in the sense that, I don't know how to say this without like admitting something. There's also a lot of people who take over a second account, but they still run their main account, right? So I would say about 70% of people are running their original account. And then there are people who you wouldn't know aren't running their original account, but that had nothing to do with the actual gauntlet or attrition. Again, not trying to throw anybody under the bus. This is a conversation you can have with DMs with people, but there are absolutely people in this game who, when they started, they picked up a better account than the starter account that they had. Yeah, TJ. Yeah, we were just talking about the gauntlet and or the top end. TJ has his original account. I can say that.
TJ's an OG.
Pretty much everybody on Plotting and Scheming has their original account. I think you overestimate how many people quit and leave their account. A lot of the time, it's the same account that has people quit. And I think that's the humorous part for me, is that there's an account in Chromium that has had like 6 pilots in the last 3 years, and they've all quit. But it's one account.
It be cursed.
Yeah, basically. So I think that there's a misconception on that because you hear about the guilds that have had a bunch of hands on them. Or you hear about the accounts that have had a bunch of hands on them. I think you should know more people in the Gauntlet then. If most people you know in the Gauntlet aren't running their OG account, I think you should know more people in the Gauntlet.
Well, Vin's saying that in his experience the proportion's lower. And you know what? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's the rule on it. I mean, there's a lot of folks that are not playing their very first account.
Yeah,
so
and I'm saying that's also not exclusive to the top end, was the other point I was trying to make to Ruth Vader Ginsburg.
That is fair.
That is not an exclusive issue. Like, for example, my first...
that is not only in the Gauntlet, yeah.
The first alt account I received was from a real-life friend who quit and gifted me their account. And the very first guild I was in, I would say less than half of the people there had their original account due to people gifting their account when they quit to someone else. And then that person gifting their account to the person who was lowest, and so on. I honestly don't think it's an issue. I think the only issue with big accounts not dying are the ones that should have died and didn't, and that number is very low. A lot of the accounts that do change hands, they weren't in the...
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, it certainly is a percentage of accounts, yeah. Very low.
Yeah, the number of accounts that didn't die that should have is very low. compared to the ones that actually change hands.
Vin said he thinks you underestimate the number of accounts that are played by other guild members in TW. I mean, I do know for a fact that there have been some tough...
that at the fuck all.
There have definitely been some times where the number of accounts being played by, you know, a handful of people playing a good number of accounts each. It's happened before. It has happened before.
There was a time when Cass and I shared a previous guild where I ran 12 accounts for a TW. I am fully aware that there are a lot of people who give their keys to someone else to allow them to play TW. Sometimes even TB or Conquest.
Not gonna be me, though.
Oh, yeah. I am doing my very best to not break terms of service.
Mm-hmm.
I would never. Hear that, EA? CG? I would never. Never once in my life have I broken terms of service. Never once will I.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you and your rules.
You're a nice young man.
Yeah, TJ, at the top, you 100% should not underestimate that. I love you, TJ. Man, I love TJ and Tass. I have played with both of them in multiple guilds. Oh, absolutely love the both of them through good times and hard times. All of our brotherly squabbles, and TJ convincing me to put the Yomi on First Order, Special Forces TIE Fighter. Like, all the ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
Cass convincing me to do Luminara.
No, I specifically didn't. You asked me why, and I gave you my case for it, and then you did it yourself. You came to me. Don't you? Do not misconstrue me as a proselytizer of Luminara.
You just made a case.
Yeah.
You just told me you made a case, and then I did it. Would you say that is not the definition of convincing?
No, you asked me, though. You asked me a question, and I explained why I did it. Like, I didn't come to you to sing the glories.
I didn't say you forced me. I said you convinced me. Why are you putting words in my mouth?
Well. Anyway. Your mom.
With Executor, I have no idea what you do on offense. That shit's on defense. Citral asked a question. Well, since you're on exec, can you discuss the different setups for attack versus defense? Or is it the same? I would say on offense, it's almost exclusively triple attacker.
Yeah.
I don't know much about it. Because I don't use it on offense. But on defense, there's a couple different ways to set it up. Dude, TJ, you missed it when I was calling him out for putting socks on his merch. He put socks as something you could buy with a TAS logo in his merch.
I can't imagine why that's so outrageous. It was something that was requested.
Look, if I was trying to do something to that sock and send it back to you, I would do it too. Like, that's why you... Like,
first of all, if you're sending the sock back to anybody, you're sending it back to the fulfiller of the merchandise. You're not sending it back to me.
Oh, no, I have your address.
Yeah, but you're... I'll have it forwarded to a post office box. Where is the Task Jester hat? I looked at the hats that site allows you to sell. Their hats are lame, man. I have to find a different site for fulfillment for crazy hats. But I did think that hats would be incredibly appropriate for me to offer, and I just didn't see anything that caught my eye. And I don't want to offer merchandise that I don't personally think is like, yeah, this is good. I think I might get this.
You admit that you thought the socks were a good idea?
Yeah, I did at the time.
Okay, I'm glad you added at the time. Because, man, I have put you through the ringer on that.
It's not worth all this, I'll say that. I don't need it like that.
If you get a moment, TJ, I'm sure somebody will clip me, like, absolutely lighting into him about the socks. And why someone would request him to sell socks. Yeah, it's been a good night. I don't know why. See, this is the thing. Tass says things like, I forced Dagger to come on. And while there was a non-zero amount of arm twisting, he did ask for all of this when he had me on.
Oh, yes.
So, like, I don't know why he keeps having me.
That's fair. That is fair. I have only myself to blame. Okay, so they said deploy mixed. Am I good everywhere else? Have I done all the needful?
Oh, dude, yeah, like before they redid TW Vin, there was like 12 guilds, 14 guilds that you would consider gauntlet level. And the expansion of the board made it like 5, maybe 6. And then that slowly weeded out those other guilds that were not part of the 5 or 6.
I can do a couple conquest fights here. And then we'll look to close this down soon.
The turd, probably 4. Maw Chromium, Maw Rhodium, Maw Vanguard of Disorder, and Clones Unleashed. What besides P1 has changed the game like you wanted from Dre? No, that's a great example. I would love more things like Punishing One to come in and force a change in our current, the current way we play. I really like the idea of this Zalbar Omi. I don't know if it's going to matter all that much. To the grand scheme of things, I mean. Like, it'll obviously be on the board week 1 and probably going forward.
Night, TJ.
Good night, buddy. But I do really enjoy them making... Like, the Great Mother's Omicron, or Datacron was a great... Okay. Insert the rant about bespoke Datacrons, not trying to argue that they're good. But that Datacron did what I wanted, right? It absolutely shifted the meta to the point where you now had to change the way you played. And that I really did enjoy. P1 does something similar. So that's the kind of thing I'm looking at.
Fair.
I'm just rapid firing some of these questions in YouTube since you're doing other stuff.
No, that's great that
yeah.
you're... Am I missing things from YouTube's side? No, I don't
Yeah,
think
you
so.
rarely read the YouTube comments, but that's
No, but
okay.
it's showing
I have
up in the
multiple-
unified chat. No, I've been responding to a bunch of stuff in that. No, I checked. I haven't been missing messages. I've responded to stuff. There's just a lot of Twitch messages, too. I have
Gotcha.
that unified chat log program.
Oh, okay.
I see it both at the same time. All right, yeah, I'm already up to 200 and I don't want to refresh, so that's about it for that. Let's get the last couple questions in, guys, and then I'll, look to wrap this up here. And I don't know, Dagger might be back again here this weekend before the off week. Otherwise, yeah, you'll be seeing us in plotting and scheming and all the good stuff. Yeah, there you go. There you go, Vero.
Getting a green screen set up really helps because it lets me be set up on video here.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, the people I currently live with would be unhappy if you saw everything in the background because some of it's personal, some of it's like all that kind of stuff.
Fair.
So yeah, I'm probably gonna end up picking up Prime. Not Prime. What the fuck's it called? Nitro. So I can make like a custom background of like my logo or something along those lines.
Yeah. Yeah, Ruth. Yeah, good questions. Good questions. Yeah, no, appreciate the engagement. Good discussion from you. Have a good night. Thanks for showing up.
Yeah. And the only reason I bring up the video part is TJ and Sasha have already been on video. We've already like kind of made sure that like video is something we can do. Obviously, Phalo can. He streams. So hopefully, the in-between videos at least will allow us some time on video. I don't know about our time slot for plotting and scheming during the week is a bit awkward with people running around the house. So I don't know how consistent I could.
We'll try to do it where it makes sense to do it. But hey, you know what? Before we go, Hedgehog did ask a question that I remembered seeing him say earlier, and I know for a fact we skipped that. He says, "What unit had the single greatest impact on the game at the time of release?" I had asked this, and if you responded, I didn't hear. Nah, we definitely missed you on that. Full disclosure, I started playing the game December of 2018. So that was at the height of the JKR meta and just before the beginning of the Darth Revan meta. So, from my point of view, Darth Revan was a huge character for me just as a lore fan. Like, that character just also being able to just end over end trounce just about anything else was awesome. So, I think him just arriving on the scene, especially so early in my time playing the game, really sold me on that. This is awesome. This is what Sith dominance should feel like in game mechanics. I'm into this.
So I will say, in the spirit of the question, what unit had the single greatest impact on the game at the time of release? I think in my mind, without question, Enfys Nest. At 3-star Gear 11, she soloed most teams.
Good answer. I like that.
Additionally, if you're talking about arena meta, probably Traya. Traya was the beginning of the power creep that had to be answered by Jedi Revan, answered by Darth Revan, answered by Gas, then GLs. Traya was the first, you can't really beat this without, this. So, yeah, I would say Nest is probably number one, but man, that was 2017? That was a long-ass time ago. Recent, in the last... Well, if we make it GL era, I think the most defining character would be Commander Ahsoka Tano. I think her existence changed so much. Not just making JMK the powerhouse he still is today, but the old Rey puzzle box teams with Kat and Vandor and just absolute shenaniganry you could do with her with Padme. I think she was, in the GL era, the number one game-changing character that's been released. I could be missing something. But I've been playing since May 2016. So that's my take on it.
Yeah.
Nest is the most, everyone got Nest for free, and everyone got to use Nest to kill everybody's shit that wasn't Trey.
Fair. Wolfman asks here, does CG need to increase the power creep to separate the next tunes from the current meta? I think, real briefly for me on this one, power creep is inevitable of a game of this type, right? They need to sell you new teams. Why should you buy the new teams? Great answer. Great question. The answer is they're strictly better. They do more than the teams that that came before them. So
unless you're Bo or Balin, and then you don't.
Don't listen to Dagger. He's a hater. The bottom line is I wouldn't wish for more power creep, because what that'll do is it'll just accelerate. We talked at length here about how the nature of the gauntlet has segmented out competitive TW. If you care about competing in anything, if it's TW or Grand Arena, accelerating power creep means accelerating creating a wider gulf in between the spaces that the top accounts occupy and the spaces that the not top accounts occupy. There's just this big no man's land of, you really don't got it. You're progressing, but you don't really have anything that matters. You have to get got it before you have anything with that. So that's
I would add that I think one of the problems. So I agree that I don't think we should raise the ceiling too much more. The problem CG has is that they have blurred all of the lines they outlined back when they created GLs and told us how GLs and Conquest units were going to be structured. Ezra's better than half the GLs as a character. Ezra's, they have, Bane is better than half the GLs. They have blurred the lines on the power creep already to where Marquis are better than Conquest units and Conquest units are better than GLs. So I think the problem that they're going to run into with as far as power creep goes is, in order to sell you new teams, they have to create these spaces in which teams are only good with datacrons. And I think that's a problem, right? Look at Bo, look at Balin, look at a lot of these characters. I'm not saying that these teams are bad. I mean, I made a joke, sure. But what they aren't great at is everything across the board. They have very glaring weaknesses. They are good at very specific things. And that's basically where CG's design space is at the moment, is creating teams and characters that are very good at very specific things, as opposed to making generically good teams or characters, which I think is good, but also creates a problem from a design dynamic where they can no longer really create super oppressive teams. And by oppressive, I don't mean like, oh my god, this is the meta. I mean like, when was the last time we got a team that wasn't a GL that excelled in every game mode that was not reliant on Omicrons?
Right, but
right?
Yeah, but
no.
ever since they added Omicrons to the game, their design philosophy should be inclusive of accounting to use them. I mean,
I'm not talking about characters, I'm talking about teams. So, for example, teams, in order to be good in game modes, need Omicrons, which is fine. I don't mind that. But the point I'm trying to illustrate here is you have created this world where Omicrons bring teams up to GL level, but you can't really push GLs too much higher without moving on to whatever's next. And like actually accelerating the power creep, like Tass said. And I'm saying we're just in this murky water where every new team is going to be really good because they have a Datacron, and we're going to have to see how it shakes out based off of how good they are without it.
All right,
and that's
guys.
a really long-winded way to say that we already have hit pretty... If we're not at max power creep for non-GL characters and teams, we're getting really close.
Fair. That's fair. Yeah, it's I wouldn't want the problem to accelerate for sure. All right, guys, thank you everybody for tuning in. This has been fun. I am starting to fall asleep, so that's about the right time to start hanging it up. Dagger, thanks again for joining me this evening. This was a lot of fun for me, for hopefully everybody in the chat. Did you have a good time?
Yeah. Also, really quick, Death Chino with first time chat. Thanks for the stream. It was fun to listen. Glad you're tuning in, man.
Appreciate you.
Guild leader of VDO. Good guy right there.
Hey, good man. Good. Glad you all enjoyed the conversation. Good stuff. Well, Dagger, before I go ahead and do all my normal closing out procedure, you have any final thoughts, any words, in the spirit, in the tradition of plotting and scheming, anything you want to leave the people with before we take off?
I look forward to the in-between episode. I look forward to hopefully streaming Zombies tomorrow. And for the love of God, don't buy fucking socks off his store.
I suppose not.
Don't encourage that behavior.
I suppose not. Okay, well, let's go ahead and spam the links. First is, of course, if you're not on my Discord, that is the place to find me. You want to find out when I'm going live, because I do it at random times, in random ways, and I also post content in random times and in random ways. But if you want to stay apprised, regardless, the way to do that... Here, I can turn off the extra camera slot now. Right? Nice. Yeah, so the Discord's the place to do that. Next up is, of course, if you're used to watching my streams on Twitch, you also know that my VODs end up on YouTube, Tassenix Gaming, where I also have some other SWGOH-related content that I know you'll be interested in. We have the Datacron set guide for set 20 that I just put out recently with Aesop Rock, the #1 player in the world for Grand Arena. My mod guides covering characters and factions that you guys have expressed interest in over the months and years, so continuing that. We've got my recent GAC Omicron tier list video, and a whole bunch of other odds and ends. But it is also a rebroadcasting point for my Grand Arena focused podcast, Plotting and Scheming, that I make with my friends Dagger, TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal. We break down the last week in Grand Arena, how we dealt with the meta matchups, our favorite attack and defense that we saw out there, our lessons learned for heading into the week to come, and anything else that we think that's worth sharing with you. That
also, really quick, you're also due another Omicron tier video because we have a new Conquest character. You should do those once every 3 months.
3 seems a little frequent, doesn't it?
No, because it's every new triple Omi character.
Maybe. I mean, I'll think about it.
All right, just figure that out there.
It's not a terrible plan. But anyways, the Plotting and Scheming podcast is hosted natively out on Spotify. It is rebroadcast to YouTube, Google Podcasts, all of that. But wherever you find an episode, there will be a link in the description that you can plug into your preferred podcast program and listen to us there. Of course, if you enjoy what I'm doing here, you enjoy the show, you enjoy the channel, you want to support what I'm about, there's a few ways to do that. First of all, At your request, I did make a Cash App some time ago. Let's see if that works. Just send it like that and see if it works. Yeah, okay, so there's the Cash App. PayPal is always an option. That is tassenix@gmail.com. And let's see. There's the brand new merch store. I got to get in the habit of spamming that. There's the merch store. And yeah. Also, right along with the merch store, I did just create this today, and I did kick off a 10% promotion for the first 30 days of the store here using promotion code THX, folks. Thanks, folks. So thank you so much for your support, your viewership, encouraging me to get this set up. Yeah, it's fun. Enjoy. And, thank you. And of course, last but never least, if you want to get some enhanced tools to raise your scouting game, get early access to some of my content, and just be on the inside track with what I'm thinking, what I'm doing, you want to just hang out on Discord, you got to check out my Patreon. So there we go. Boom. All right, so check out patreon.com/Tassenix. For any upwardly mobile Grand Arena player, there is something there of interest to you. At $5 a month, you enter the Tass House at VIP access level, where you get early access to the Plotting and Scheming podcast. Like I said before, my patrons are getting that within hours of recording it, generally on Tuesday nights. It's coming out in general on YouTube Friday mornings, 8 a.m., But in addition to that early access, you also get early access to my Datacron set guide videos, and of course, dedicated text and voice chat on Discord, where you can usually find me lurking. So pop on in and say hi. Thank you so much to Andrew, Arj, Banja, Deadpool Cow 28, JJ's Productions Twitch, Jobin4527, Johnny B. Ottawa, Miasmal, Mus Ross, Rays Malbus, Sam Vimes, Sheepdog 47, Squed, Stark Strategy Gamer, Swedes 14, and White Wolf. Moving on up to the $10 a month tier is VIP Access Plus, where you get a bundled Patreon access to me and to OmegaBot. So, if you watch my streams at the start of each one, I pull a detailed report on each opponent, and the strength of OmegaBot is that it gives you an at-a-glance sense of what your opponent's about, offensively, defensively. And, patrons can pull greater than just 1 week of history and get a downloadable HTML version of the report with links that you can click in it to look into details about specific counters. It'll plug right back into insight, super powerful stuff. Really helps slim down the scout time. So thank you so much to Stryker, Esh Sotnikam, Dobby, and Snack Attack. Moving up to VIP Access Premium is $15 a month for the Double Bot bundle. Some have said the greatest value bundle in SWGOH, because you get a bundled Patreon access to me, to OmegaBot, and to Hot Utils, the #1 tool for your mass mod management and loadout creation. You can easily, move between your Grand Arena, TB, TW, raid mods with just a couple of clicks. You can remod your roster comprehensively, the way that Fatal and TJ like to do. You can slice through a backlog of mods in seconds, and so much more, just to say nothing of all that, TW functionality. But thank you so much to Duckstab, Dark Hug, Ibanek, General Milan, Sir Boss, Quig, Wilco, Frick Frack Paddywhack, Argots, Zoltre, and the Lost Womp Rat. At the top of the list in Jester's Club Elite, my #1 supporter, Nomad's Reaper. This guy has just been killing it for years. He will pop into streams from time to time, drop hundreds of subs, thousands of biddies, incredibly generous support over the years. Thank you so much, my good man. And of course, last but never least, our special thanks. First up to Yoda Force, one of my original supporters from way back in the day, bought me the mic I'm speaking to you on right now, and even though he has long since quit the game, we wish him well from the other side. To Mrs. T, my wife, thank you for all you do in the background, containing the curious wrath of our daughter, who would otherwise be ripping apart our home brick by brick, while her father was trying to be halfway decent at a phone game. Hey, I appreciate that, Pills. Appreciate that, man. 1K biddies here at the finish line. Yeah, you like that bundle deal? Yeah, man. It's a strong value, I have to say. I think it's a competitive offering. And of course, last but never least, to Dagger, TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal, my co-hosts on Plotting and Scheming. As always, gentlemen, it is a pleasure and a privilege to record our show together on a weekly basis. I learn from you guys. Hopefully you pick up the odd tidbit from me. But the important part is that our community learns from us. They love the show. There's comments everywhere. The engagements are out the wazoo. Lots of community chatter on Discord. We're doing a good thing. And you guys are a huge part of that winning recipe. Wouldn't change a thing. Thank you so much. All right. Let's move back over to the main scene before, again, I actually just land face down on the keyboard. And we'll make ready to raid, I think. Who's still up at this ungodly hour? Nobody I know. Why don't we send you guys over to the G Teacher, somebody that I've never heard of, and that sounds like a great way to close out a late night stream. Give them a bit of a boost. All right, starting up the raid. Again, thanks to everybody who tuned in. It was a really fun stream, for everyone here on Twitch and YouTube. If you are catching this VOD on YouTube, please do give it a like if you enjoyed yourself, and hit subscribe if you want to see more from the channel. Otherwise, I'll be seeing you in the next episode of Plotting and Scheming, and of course, Grand Arena stream next week for the new 3 vs 3 season. Might be a odd zombie stream in between here and there. We'll, let you know on Discord. But until then, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.